Welcome, everybody, to this introduction of our new podcast, the Plug and Play Podcast, where we talk about video game news and what else we are playing. And since this is an introduction episode, I want to get started with intros for everybody on the podcast. We just started this podcast. We were thinking about it a couple months ago, and we've all come together now. It's been a few months in the making, but here we are now. So, with introductions, I want to get started. My name is Alexis. Cameron?
Hey guys, this is Cameron. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and Henry.
Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be here.
Awesome. So, with introductions, Alexis here. So, for video games of my history and what I usually play on, I used to play like in the early 2000s. I remember playing like Mario 3 on a SNES, and it was like very fun. I just remember playing like that for hours, and then throughout the years, I just mostly been like on Nintendo platforms and also the PS2. The PS2 held me on for quite a while until like probably like 2012, and I'll just play anything that I had. I'll just play whatever since there was this game store called Hollywood Video, and there was also one right next to it called Game Crazy where you rent games, and I would rent games like every week, and we just play whatever we had. And it would mostly be like
I definitely. I did that as a kid too. It's just whatever is right in front of you, you got to take it. I remember I used to go to the library and rent videos or rent video games because it was free. It was more free than Hollywood Video. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, with the library thing, I remember in the library like there was one next to my house, and they usually had games, but they were like weird games. I think they were like for the PC. Like back when PC had like CDs to play and like be like in a big box and stuff. So that's it.
We had Parappa the Rapper. That was like a big one. I was very happy about that. And then we had like 5. And like the other one was like a Casper the Friendly Ghost game for the PS2. I don't remember much about that one, but that was another one I was just happy to have it. So yeah, I get that. It's just whatever they got.
It was just weird games, like just weird. Like there were like no Mario, like never. So, yeah, right now I'm mostly playing on my PS5. I have a Switch and a PC, but I rarely use those. Like, rarely, like probably like once a month. Not the Switch anymore. My brother hogs it. So, even though I bought Metroid Prime Remaster and Mario Wonder, and I just barely like scratched the surface on those games. So, I'm just on my PS5 most of the time. So, I'll just play like single player games. And multiplayer games, I'll just play with my friends. I just got tired of just playing online, especially when like I'll usually play like Call of Duty and stuff. So once that, I feel like that fell off for me personally, and I just stopped buying it. I bought the one from last year, but it's because my friends like pressured me to buy it.
Yep.
And I only played it for like, oh man, a couple hours, and then I just wasn't feeling it. I mean, I could probably go back and finish the campaign, but yeah, that's.
The Call of Duty experience is being convinced to buy it by other people. No, I'm right there with you. This is Cameron here. I have pretty much fallen off multiplayer games almost entirely. Play Rocket League with some friends like here and there, but almost exclusively single player. I would say like combination of just kind of not being super interested in what multiplayer games are out there, and also quite some time playing League of Legends. Don't know if either of you guys have ever had some time with that game, but
I'm traumatized.
We'll definitely scare you off of a multiplayer game. Actually, I have kind of a hot take when it comes to League, which is I actually think the community is not as bad as people say. I think it's definitely like one of the worst online like multiplayer game communities. Don't get me wrong, but like I think people build it up as this huge thing, and I'm like, they've made it way easier to deal with. Like you can just set it to default mute.
That's interesting you say that. I have heard that, and that is I'm not going to say it's a large reason. I actually did try League a long time ago. My PC could not handle it, and that's like part of the reason why I didn't keep going. But the other reason was I honestly just found it, I just kind of was bored by it. It was too much of a tug of war for me. But in general, I've heard that it still is very toxic. Like people, they changed it. They tried to make it better, and then like because now you can. It used to be people would just tell you to like kill yourself in the game,
yeah.
and now they have like pings and stuff.
Yep.
And the community apparently started using those pings to tell people to kill themselves in like roundabout ways, from what I've been told.
Yeah, no.
Like apparently there was like a hook emote or something, like a hook ping.
Oh, dude,
and that was
wild.
like being used to represent a noose, like instead of a hook. So like that community still, from what I've heard, is still pretty toxic. But maybe you can tell me different.
So here's the thing. Like you're not wrong. I'll put it that way. But the thing is, like I think part of this is just I have really thick skin. So like I just pretty much ignore them, to be honest. But when I was playing, I haven't played in a while now, but kind of feeling the itch, I guess, to hop back on a time or two. But no, I think the thing is, like, at the end of the day, you can mute everybody. Is it the optimal way to play a multiplayer game with everybody muted? Absolutely not. But there's ways around it, and like that's enough for me. I think for the most part, I just let them rage, and I just kind of laugh at it, to be honest. But going back to kind of introductions, like my first exposure to gaming, it's actually kind of like back in the N64 days. I was kind of had a older cousin. Typically, I feel like it's a family member that kind of exposes you to gaming. In my experience, people I know, but I had a cousin that had a N64, and we played like WWE, whatever version that was at that time. But kind of always been like a Sony guy primarily. I had a PS2, then a PS3, PS4. Now have a PS5, obviously. Just kind of embroiled into that ecosystem, I guess. I do have a Switch, kind of like Alexis. I don't really play my Switch very much, but it's there if I need it. I do have a PC, but it's pretty outdated, so I just play very basic games on it. But Henry, I don't know if you want to share some stuff about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm very similar to you guys. I primarily stick to single-player games. I've fallen off of multiplayer games almost entirely as well. Really, the only thing multiplayer games or the only time I ever dive back into a multiplayer game is when a friend says, "Hey, let's get on and play this." It's never necessarily like a decision that I make. It's kind of just how you. I think a lot of people now just kind of that's how you spend time with friends. A lot of time now is through multiplayer games, just kind of hopping on a match of Fortnite or something and just chatting, while you're waiting to actually find somebody in a battle royale or something like that. But I love single player games. I love investing myself in new worlds and, becoming almost like a godlike figure by the end, hopefully, and, living out those fantasies that I couldn't normally in real life. In terms of my background, my first exposure to video games was when I was 5, I think. A neighborhood kid had a PlayStation 1, and he had Spyro 2. And that game blew my mind. It was the first time I had played a 3D game, and it was super colorful, and just kind of like grasping that I could manipulate something on the screen and like run through this world, and what I was doing was affecting what I was seeing was something that was super interesting to me and really grabbed a hold of my soul. Perhaps is a way of saying it. But after that, I was pretty much hooked. And it's funny, too, because Insomniac made those games a long time ago. It was one of their first big games. And Sony actually asked them to make it so that they could indoctrinate children into being, like, lifelong customers, which it totally worked for me. So I'm glad that happened.
Never heard of that.
But after that, I said, for Christmas, Mommy, Daddy, I want a video game console. And so my first video game console was a Sega Dreamcast,
Nice.
Which is an awesome console, but it obviously died like 6 months after I got it. Like the PS2 pretty much snuffed it out of existence, and like no games came out for it anymore. So I was raised on, or my childhood was a lot of like Sonic Adventure and stuff like that. Like that was the first game that like I would just sit in my pajamas, and like I didn't have a memory card. They didn't know that I needed a memory card, so like
Classic.
every time I had to go to dinner or something, I had to exactly right. Everybody has that story. Like I had to restart the game from the very beginning. So I am very good at the first level of Sonic Adventure for the Dreamcast. If you ever need any tips or pointers, I'm here. But after that, I got a PS2, and I was pretty much raised on like, you know, a healthy diet of mascot platformers. Kind of like Sly Cooper is like still to this day like one of my favorite games ever. It just has a really special place in my heart, just because it was such a major part of my childhood. Obviously, like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, you know, the big Sony guys. Kingdom Hearts was a huge one too. Of course, man. Yeah, I mean, what it is now is a little bit different, but at the time that was massive. And I stuck with Sony for a really long time because I was honestly waiting for like another Sly Cooper game. That's like why I got a PS3, was I was like, well, I got to get the next Sly Cooper game. And funny. So obviously the PlayStation 3 had a very slow start, so I didn't have much to play there for a while, but it turned around a lot. Ended up being not the best-selling console that generation, but outselling the Xbox 360, which I think is a massive achievement considering how far it lagged behind for so long. But after that, I went with the PS4, and now I have a PS5. And now that I actually have like disposable income, I have like a Switch. And I really, honestly, I mean, at this point, the Switch is so old. It's really only good for Nintendo exclusives.
Yep.
So I really just use it pretty much as a Nintendo exclusive console. I don't use it for much else. So I only pick that up if a new Nintendo exclusive game comes out. And then I recently got into Steam Deck. So I've been trying to go through a lot of old PC games and kind of find out what I missed there. And then on top of that, Microsoft Game Pass is such a massive, it's such a great deal. And you can play it through your PC or stream it through your phone. There's a lot of different options, honestly, without having to own an Xbox. So I've started trying to dabble and go back through all the Microsoft catalog as well. So I really try to stay agnostic and try to keep my finger on like gaming as a whole and make sure I know what's going on and understand a lot of what people say about different games. So that's pretty much the long for me. So I'll throw it back over to you, Alexis.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to know is that you said you get your news. You don't really have like a social media presence. So like, how do you get your news then? Because I get all of my news like on Twitter and like from all these like different accounts and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's mainly podcasts for me. So like just basically long form news and there's only a few that I listen to. So Sacred Symbols is a huge one. I really enjoy. They do a lot of deep dives on industry news, and I really appreciate that. Mm-hmm. And then like Giant Bomb, Jeff Grubb is a huge newsie.
He's a leader as well.
He's fun to listen to, and he has a lot of up to date news that I find interesting. So I mean, a couple of other podcasts here and there, but mostly long form news is how I get my information.
Yes, and then one thing about Cameron, you said that Kingdom Hearts was that something that you really played?
God, man! That got me started on that. Yeah, no, I love Kingdom Hearts, man. That was one of the very first games. So that was one of the very first games that my brother and I actually like owned ourselves. PS2 was our first console, and so like crazy experiences with that series. I've played all of them. I love all of them. Even Chain of Memories, which people hate. I love the card-based combat, honestly. And I don't know. I mean, to me, it very much feels like one of those things that, like, if I hadn't encountered it when I was younger, would I love it as much as I do? Probably not. Right? Like, on its own, maybe not as strong, right? But it's like nostalgia play kind of thing, you know? And yeah, totally. I've flexing a little bit here with my Kingdom Hearts, but I've actually platinum trophied all the games too. So some of them are very tedious. Yeah, it's funny that you brought up Kingdom Hearts because I actually highly recommend people to not platinum the handhelds. Chain of Memories is very tedious. Birth by Sleep is very tedious to platinum. So yeah, no, I highly recommend not doing that, but I have done that. So, you know, props to me, I guess, for useless points.
Sounds like you are like in Stockholm syndrome with Kingdom Hearts. Because I love Kingdom Hearts 2. Actually played all the games. I've certainly not platinumed them. I do not have the time in my life to platinum every game like that. But
Sure.
it's I feel like, dang, I was so let down by 3. I don't know about you, but like that was like I was like, this is the culmination of basically my entire childhood at this point. Like I've been waiting for this my entire life almost.
Yeah.
And that I feel like the games really took a massive dive into making no sense. I think is the best way of saying it. Do you have like kind of an opinion on how that escalated as the series went on?
Yeah, no. I think that's something I've certainly heard from a few different people, and I think it's funny actually. Like my take on that is like they've always been confusing. So it's really interesting to me that people say like over time it got really convoluted, because even as far back as 2, like 2 doesn't make sense at certain parts either, with the nobodies and stuff. So I find that a little interesting, but I think I agree with you in terms of 3 not living up to expectations. I think it's also really hard. It was going to be really hard for any game to live up to those expectations because of how long it took to come out.
Yeah.
It's absolutely near the bottom for me in the series. Like I think 3 is one of the weaker titles 100%. Especially as far as the main lines go, it's easily the worst out of the 3 to me. But
I would agree with that, yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it's funny because like I agree that the story is definitely not top tier, I would say, as far as series go, but I think that gameplay in that series is hard to replicate, especially when you look at Kingdom Hearts 2. It's really hard to find an experience that's like that's as satisfying as that feels. And so I think that's what kind of brings me back when a new one comes out, because I think 3, for all its faults as far as the storytelling goes, which there are many, especially the ending, which I can't say enough bad about personally, but for all of its faults, the combat in 3 is very solid, I think. Yes, the freaking Disney rides like gets a little out there. Like I hated how they would come up every other fight. I'm like, can we please stop using this mechanic? But but no, I think the combat is really the quote seller for those games at this point, for me at least. I'm sure some people are just dying to know what's going to happen next in that insane timeline, but I'm not as invested in that part of it, I would say. So
yeah, I would say I am invested in the narrative to an extent. Like I said, it's really. I feel like before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, I needed to go through like 5 different video tutorials, like lore dives on like what had happened and why things were the way they were. I think you're right. The combat is visually, I think, very stimulating, and that's something that I know that as a kid, like an RPG that had live action combat that wasn't like turn based was a huge plus for me. I really couldn't stand turn based combat, and that's where Kingdom Hearts really shined for me, was the fact that it was real time.
Yep.
And so I felt like Kingdom Hearts 2 really amplified that. It made it a lot snappier, a lot more clean, and a lot more visually stimulating. And then Kingdom Hearts 3 just kind of went way too far with that, like you were saying, with the Disney ride moves and stuff like that. It really became a game about doing those special finishers, but there were only so many of them that it got pretty repetitive for me towards the end of the game. So, and then obviously the story itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. I was just gonna ask you. I'm curious. You just brought something up that made me think. Do you like DMC by chance?
Interesting you bring that up. So I think I kind of mentioned I like going through series to kind of understand how, like, because DMC is obviously a legendary series made by Hideki Kamiya, a huge name in the industry. And I went back through and I played some of the DMC collection. I played like an hour or two for every single DMC game. And then I have played and beat DMC 5. That was actually my first Devil May Cry game that I played and pretty much beat. I was a little disappointed by it, but at the end of the day, I think DMC 1 is pretty dated. I think DMC 2 is not good, and I think DMC3 is actually it still holds up. I do like DMC. I think at the end of the day, though, a lot of those games make me feel like I'm really bad at games.
Oh wow, interesting.
Because I think the skill ceiling for those games is very high.
It's like a fighting game almost.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly, and it really encourages the player to master the combat, and that's just not me. I try to move on to another experience. I have so many games in my backlog, so many games to play, that it's hard for me to devote like 40 hours to just mastering the combat system in a single game that I could beat in 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So with DMC, you'd always go through a fight and it would be like, C rank or something like that, or probably lower
Yes.
for me. And I was like, well, I feel like this game is just telling me I suck all the time, and I don't really love that. So I think that DMC is for a specific crowd, kind of like Alexis was saying, kind of like a fighting game crowd almost, somebody that really wants to delve into it and master it. But it's not really for me.
Yeah.
I do love games like Bayonetta, though. Like Bayonetta 2 is like probably one of my favorite action games ever because the skill ceiling is so low in that game. For whatever reason, they knock the skill ceiling way down. But that's my general opinion on those games. Why?
Interesting.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I feel like the reason I brought it up is I feel like there is some weird similarities between the Kingdom Hearts combat style and DMC. They're not the same, don't get me wrong, but I think there are some similarities. And you mentioning like repetition specifically in regards to Kingdom Hearts made me immediately jump to DMC because I've delved into it a little bit, and I felt like I was getting that repetition of combat, but I wasn't getting like the other stuff I get from Kingdom Hearts, like seeing these weird, Peter Pan crossover thing going on. So it's like, I personally haven't really been a huge fan of the DMC series, but Alexis, I was going to ask you, because it sounded like you had some Kingdom Hearts opinions. Now I got to know.
Okay, I just wanted to say that because on the record, I haven't finished the Kingdom Hearts game. So it's funny because I remember when I was little, I remember buying this random Kingdom Hearts game. And all I know from the cover is I think Sora and some other guy are just looking up in the sky. It's a PS2 game. And I bought it for like $1 or whatever, like a long time ago. I remember playing it, and I'm like, I got stuck like in the first battle or something. It just threw me in, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. And
Yeah,
that's all I did as a kid. That's like the only Kingdom Hearts thing I played until like 2 years ago maybe, where I bought the collection for the PS4. And I played. It was cool, but it was a couple hours in. It was already confusing. I remember that there's these guys in robes or something. I'm like, what's going on? But I do want to get into it a lot because I know Kingdom Hearts fans are like just really passionate about it.
Very passionate, yeah.
Yeah, no,
I think
that's cool. I was just gonna say real quick. I'm very, very sure you're talking about Chain of Memories, which is essentially the PS2 version of Chain of Memories, which was originally on the Game Boy Advance. That has the cover of the two main characters like looking up at the sky. I'm fairly confident that's the one you're talking about, but yeah, not definitely one of the weaker ones, I would say. A lot of people hate the card combat, so I could see how you'd bounce off.
I was still a kid, so I just didn't know what to do. And also, one more thing about Devil May Cry. You said it's dated. Man, the first game was so hard to play because I have the PS3 one, the collection, and then I just bought the PS4 one. Like it was on sale for like $11. So I bought that, and I just played the first one last year. And man, it's very basic, like the combos, and then I just skipped the second one because I heard so many bad things about it. So I went to the third one. I'm like, the third one is just way better than the first one.
It's way better. I can't remember. There is a story behind that. I think Hideki Kamiya came back for 3 or something like that. He was either not involved in 2 at all, or I know that game had a horrible development cycle. I think it was like a 8-month development cycle or something like that. Super stressed for time. And yeah, it's known to be really bad. And yeah, after playing just a couple hours of it, there's a significant like dip in quality from 1 to 2, and it really ticks back up in 3. So I agree with that completely.
Who started with 5? I remember hearing somebody said they started with the.
That was me. I have done that with a few series just because it's just the topical one. I started playing Metal Gear Solid with Metal Gear Solid 4 because that was just
I
the
did too,
first
actually.
one I had access to.
That's funny.
I'm sorry about that. It's so difficult to understand what the heck is going on in that series in general, and then 4 is just like, wow, that's above and beyond. But 5, yeah, I started with 5 just because it was just a big hyped game at the time, and I had never played a Devil May Cry game before, and I had heard they were really good, so I was like, this is my time to figure it out. And yeah, it was a little disappointing. I wasn't super into the combat. I've obviously heard Devil May Cry is known for its combat, and a lot of times I've heard it's also known for being really over the top and like kooky with its like cutscenes, almost like super anime-esque. Yeah. And Devil May Cry 5 wasn't. It didn't really do that. There's a very viral clip of like Dante like doing like a Michael Jackson dance in 5, but that's like the craziest it gets. And it's very out of place, and that's why it stands out so much. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think it would be tough for me to go back to another Devil May Cry game. If there's a 6, I'd probably really have to do something to impress me to get me to go back to the series.
Yeah, man, just Devil May Cry is just very, very, very old. I remember it's inspired by the Resident Evil. I mean, you could tell by the first game. It's just very, very like Resident Evil 1-ish. Because it's like you're like in a mansion. It's very ambient. It's like very dark.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that actually, but it makes sense with the Capcom connection there. I didn't know that though. Huh.
I think I may be completely talking out of nowhere, but I think it was originally meant to be a Resident Evil game, and they changed it like very early on in development. But that's where those elements come from. It is obviously the DNA from Capcom. And, Hideki Kamiya also worked on it. I think he also did Resident Evil 4, if I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. So he there's a lot of Resident Evil DNA in there too. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too. I think it was the 4th Resident Evil that they got it from. I mean, you can still see like it's like the filter and everything. It's just you can just see everything. All right, since we're done with introductions, anybody want to add anything else? Or are we good to go?
I'm good to go, baby.
All right, so with the first news article that we have, this is from Xbox Wire. There's a developer direct coming in about a week, 5 days from now, and this is it's at 2 p.m. Eastern time, so get ready. It's probably somewhere like in the morning. They're gonna show a couple games, most notably Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which has been in the circle at Xbox for a while now. Avowed, which was revealed last year at their showcase, I believe. Ara, I think I'm saying this right. Ara History Untold. Mm-hmm. It's from the developers that made Civ 5. So if you're into like strategy games like City Skyline, there you go. Get ready for that. And also Hellblade 2, which is their huge upcoming game for them, which is like it's an exclusive for Xbox, so it's a huge get for them. Which they also showed like I think at the Game Awards they showed something there.
They did, yeah. It's been a really long time coming. As somebody who played the first one, enjoyed it quite a bit. I've been surprised at how little information has come out about Hellblade 2, just because it seems like it's on such a slow drip feed of like information, trailers, things like that.
It's coming out this year as well, so I mean, was that gameplay at the Game Awards? I remember seeing it looked like in-engine.
It was, yeah.
Okay, so there you go. Hellblade 2, get ready for at the Xbox show. And one more thing. Oh, you guys have anything to say about those games? Henry?
I'll say that kind of tying in with what Cameron said, the slow drip feed, this has been kind of Microsoft's MO for years, which I think is really unfortunate for them because they don't have a lot going on in their lineup, and they really need it, especially to kind of draw people to Game Pass from a business perspective. Because, Hellblade was announced, several years ago? Like along with several other games like Fable and a few other games from one of those directs a long, long time ago. And they have not really said a lot about most of those games. A lot of them are still pretty much in just absolute silence, and I think Microsoft really needs to pick that up. to get any kind of really momentum behind them, because I feel like they're really falling behind in terms of just any kind of excitement behind their brand. It's either you're in Game Pass or you're not, and that's pretty much the end of Xbox at that point. But that's all I have on those.
Yeah, and as somebody who has always owned like Sony consoles, I was never, I'm sure you guys weren't either, never one of those like console wars, making blog posts on the internet trying to rage people. But as somebody who like only ever had Sony systems, I've had this opinion for a while that like Xbox is exclusives are severely lacking in star power and identity, in my opinion. So like,
agreed.
Think of Sony, you think of God of War, you think of Kratos, you think of Last of Us. Obviously, there's been some media, made from that game. HBO show, second season coming up, in the next few years. But like, you think of Nintendo, you have Mario, you have Zelda, like they're iconic. And what has Microsoft done in recent times? Like they bought Bethesda, that's a huge get, don't get me wrong, but it's like what are their properties? Like Halo, everybody that I talked to didn't like the most recent one. Like Gears of War, haven't heard anything from that in a while. It's like they need something big. And frankly speaking, the games you listed, I like Indiana Jones, it's an IP, licensed IP. It's like that could get decent sales, but like what is their signature thing? Like they're gonna do a direct, and what is it really gonna bring home, right? Like Hellblade 2 is a big title, but it's not on the level of like the new Mario game, right? No. So that's like Xbox to me it's like an identity crisis these last few years. Like I don't really know what their plan is besides just buying people that have more iconic properties, frankly. So
I completely agree with that. They really are relying heavily on acquisitions, and I mean, they didn't have a lot of teams in the first place, but I feel like it does feel like they are buying out the industry at this point. They are just some guy with a huge money bag, and they're just swinging it around. Obviously the acquisition for Activision Blizzard just went through this previous year, and that was obviously a massive get as well. But this is them just acquiring studios. It's not building IP, and we've seen that they possibly aren't even good at incubating IP or creating titles within the studios that they buy, because Redfall came out and was complete garbage from a studio that people typically think make really, really good games. So in fact, developers actually came out and said that they were hoping that Microsoft would buy them and then cancel Redfall because they never wanted to make it in the first place. So like it was never going to be any good, but like Microsoft clearly just doesn't have a hand on how to make these games. Obviously, they had literally what was the biggest IP in the world at one point with Halo, and they've completely squandered it. Like you said, Infinite has really been met with middling response, which is crazy. Growing up in the era of Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, that was like a lot of people's lives. And the fact that that is no longer something anybody really cares about is crazy. And then obviously the HBO show as well, which the second season comes out, I think, in like less than a month. But that show was, you'd think they would have like, they would go through that with a fine-tooth comb. They would make sure that like they're only producing the best possible thing with these IP. And I don't know many people that liked that show either. I know I didn't. I watched the first season. I thought it was pretty bad. So, Gears of War, like you said, completely in the dark. It really does seem like they are really struggling, and all they're really doing now, and I think obviously the Xbox as a console is pretty much dead. They have moved to a complete Game Pass model. This is all they're really going to do moving forward. And so all they are doing is they've become a content house. It is now they are just putting as much as they possibly can. It's kind of like a Netflix model. It's like Netflix, I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember the last thing I actually cared about on Netflix. And that's because Netflix really just cares about pushing out shows, putting things out there to hopefully entice a few more people to sign up and be stuck in this perpetual subscription. And that's kind of what Game Pass is doing now too. Is, you know, maybe an Indiana Jones games gets a couple more people, and maybe an Avowed, and maybe a History Untold, and you know, so on and so forth. And so I think Game Pass has really just changed the way that their business model works, and I don't really think it's for the better, but at the same time, I get all these games for free, not for free, but for a subscription fee day one, and I mean, I can't complain about that. I mean, it's an awesome thing for gamers, but at the same time, it's probably a net loss overall for the quality of these games and Microsoft as a whole, for at least for the games that they're producing. But that's just my opinion.
I wanted to go back to that point you said about Halo being bad. Like, I think Halo Infinite is fine right now. It just took like a year or two to get like all the updates going. Because I tried it like a couple months ago and it was really fun. But now like Halo is like, it's like their God of War, it's their Mario, and they just fumbled it like on Steam. Like the numbers are like down. Like it should be like up like top 25 maybe, but they're like they just don't know how to handle Halo, and we don't know what the next Halo is gonna be. The next Gears, I think Gear 6 or Gears. Is it 6?
Yeah,
It would
I
be
believe
6,
so.
yeah.
Okay, because I never played Gears because it was on Xbox, but that's like another huge title. But yeah, I wanted you to save all that Xbox ranting for later because we have another article talking about.
Jeez, my bad.
No, you're good. I just wanted to say like it's an article about Xbox being third party, but we'll get to that later.
Excellent.
And so for this direct, to get more like info, there's not going to be any Activision Blizzard games. So for anybody looking forward to that, just don't tune in if you don't want that. So nothing from Activision. It says later this year, so maybe when Call of Duty comes out, it'll just be like a stealth drop for Game Pass, which is really huge for them.
Yeah, and to me, this one makes sense because you have Diablo 4 come out last year, right? That's massive, monumental release for Activision Blizzard. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna give you another game in January, right? So I get why they don't have any updates on that. I'm sure, and I think you guys would agree, Activision Blizzard's big enough on their own. I wouldn't be shocked if they just have their own direct. Like, it obviously it's under that Xbox umbrella, but I bet you dedicate a whole direct just to Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, like Bethesda. They had
Yep.
Starfield last year.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
And one last thing. Do you think there will be a shadow drop? Because last year we had Hi-Fi Rush, and it dropped the same day, and it was a huge success for Xbox.
Great game, yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to be on the PS5. That's for later. We'll talk about that later, but
Sure.
Sure, yeah. No, loving these hint drops. I will say, like, I would be surprised if they didn't shadow drop a game, personally, because
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush, like, by all accounts, good game, good reception to it just dropping last year in the middle, or not in the middle of, you know what I mean, the end of that showcase. I would be surprised if they didn't do that again, personally.
same. I mean,
Agreed.
it's like
Yeah.
I think people are expecting that since last year. Since Hi-Fi Rush was a huge success. So that's it for the Xbox Direct. Now we're moving on to the next section of Dragon's Dogma 2, which is coming out in March 22, the same day as Rise of the Ronin. So you have to choose that or that. It is from IGN. They have a whole month of just gameplay of like different classes in the game or vocations. One a fighter, thief, warrior, sorcerer. I think there's more that they showed a couple of days ago, but this is from like last week. This is like a sequel to a game from 2012, and I heard it was unfinished from Hideaki Itsuno, who said that this was like a rough draft. The first one was like a rough draft, and the second game was going to be like their complete focus. So I mean, just looking at it, the first game just looks muddy. It's like PS3 graphics. Like back then it looked good, but now it looks like so bad, I guess. But now it looks really good. The only thing I'm worried about this one is that it's just bringing a lot from the first game, and that could be a good thing and a bad thing. Where if you go away from the formula, it would be different. But here, I just saw like the same enemy types from the first game. I don't know if anybody saw that. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hop in for a second and just say that I did not play the first game. I have looked at all the trailers and gameplay and whatnot for the second game that's upcoming, and it does look good. I have kind of an interesting, I guess, perspective on Dragon's Dogma 1, which is that I personally don't feel compelled to play it because everybody whose opinion I trust has been like, at the most, right? The highest praise I've ever heard the first game get is that like a qualified yes. It's like, oh yeah, I had a lot of fun with it, but it's also janky as hell and has a lot of issues. And I'm like, okay, there's way too many video games in this world for me to like dedicate that much time to a game where even its most rabid fans are like sound lukewarm on it. Does that make sense? So it's like I'm not gonna dive in personally to the first one. I might dive into the second one. I kind of just need to see, opinions and whatnot and see for myself if I'm kind of feeling up to it. But it's this is one of the things that bugs me, and I'm going to go on a little mini rant here, which is something you mentioned where, they said this is a sequel to an unfinished game, right? Mm-hmm. Referring to the first one. It's like, okay, so then why was the first one released in that state? Like, that's what confuses me about video games sometimes, is it's like, if you have the self-reflection to be like, yeah, the first game was really problematic, even though I was the one who made it, it's like, it's interesting to me, and obviously I'm crying over spilled milk. This was 11 years ago, right, guys? But, like, I mean, it's odd to me that you would admit the first game is extremely flawed as its creator, but then turn around and be like, oh, yeah, come buy our second game, which we'll fix all those problems. That's just my take. I mean, to me, it's weird. I've only ever heard, like, middling to negative things about the first game, so I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade who is really excited for the second one. It could be a completely different thing, and Capcom is in a way different state, right? Obviously,
for sure,
from back then.
Yeah.
So it's like, I totally get that, but like, that's just my opinion. It's a weird game in the video game space to me, in both in terms of like opinions and also where I feel about it. So
Alexis, I didn't read the preview, but is he referring to the original Dragon's Dogma being unfinished when he says unfinished, or is he meaning that they started Dragon's Dogma 2 and then they just didn't ever finish it and they picked up development again at some point?
Yeah.
Is that what he's saying?
Nah, he said, I think it's from a different interview where he said the first one, he didn't have all his ideas like ready in the first game. And I guess he was pressured by Capcom to release it, so it wasn't really complete. And you could tell because when you talk to an NPC in the first game, man, it looks so bad. It's like very, very rough. But I only played it because it was like $5. I'm like,
oh, it's super low on Steam.
Always dirt cheap, yeah.
And it's funny because this is Capcom's first $70 game, and they're ballsy going for $70. I think this is kind of niche, maybe. I don't know if it's gonna sell a lot. I'd probably sell like 2 million, maybe. I'll predict.
It's interesting you say that because I do semi-agree with that. I don't know how big this game is going to be because obviously the original Dragon's Dogma was very niche. And I think over time, especially on PC, I think the data does show that on PC it really took off. Oh. It's way more of a PC audience kind of game. And I think there are some really hardcore defenders of that game and hardcore fans. It's still very much like a cult hit. And I think that there are people that are definitely excited about this game. I think Capcom's in a really good place right now. They're making a lot of really great games. Like, they really just haven't missed lately.
No.
And
Exoprimal?
Okay, maybe Exoprimal. Okay. We can have that discussion. But it's, yeah, I would say that Dragon's Dogma as a whole has a lot of really good ideas in it. And I think I personally played the game for maybe like 5 to 8 hours, something in that vein, like a long time ago.
Same here.
And I bounced off of it because I think at one point not at one point, but it does not have like a fast travel system. It does, but it's very limited. And so I got sick of like running around the world. It took me too long to get from point A to point B, and so I just kind of bounced off of it. But I know like, there's like some Shadow of the Colossus-esque combat in there. I think the pawn system is really interesting, and I think once you get really deep into the combat, there's some really interesting stuff there from what I've seen. Some really cool moves that you can pull off, and some really interesting job class systems in there as well. So like, there's definitely some potential here. But yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see on this as well. Maybe I'll pick it up, maybe I won't. But I know, Alexis, you're a lot more interested in it, so hopefully it's good for you at the very least.
Yeah, the first one, I'm with you. I only played. I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay. I mean, it's very old, so you can easily see why I only played for a couple hours. But the second one, if the reviews are good, I'll take a look at it. Maybe they might come out with a demo, because Capcom always comes out with demos for their games. So I'll see if they come out with a demo and then check it out. But it's like I'm in the middle for it, so that's how I feel about it.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, and like I said, I'd have to play the role of the villain in that conversation, because I do think it's a weird, interesting game, but I can't help the way I feel about it. So it's like, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, hopefully the second one's really good, and he gets to, use all the ideas he had for the first one that he couldn't put in it. So, do you guys know if they are connected? Like, I think it's like same universe, but not. I don't think there's much of a story in the first one, anyways, right? Like, it's not a main focus.
There's not really a story, but I would assume same universe. But yeah, I mean, the story in the first one is there's a dragon, you need to kill it, and that's pretty much like the big kind of overarching story.
Excellent.
So it's not really about a universe. It's just kind of an adventure in general. So yeah,
separate games.
Not much to really need to know about the first game.
Yeah, separate, but they're the same universe, of course. All right, so let's get on to the next one. This is gonna be it's a terrible one, because this is talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and the previews have come out, and this is from IGN, and they didn't really like it, which is surprising because they like to give every game like a 7 out of 10. So
or a 9.
7 or 9, 7 to 9 around there. 10s are rare, but yeah. So for this one, Suicide Squad, this is from Rocksteady. If you know Rocksteady, they made the Batman Arkham games, which are awesome. So
phenomenal.
Yeah, great
and
games.
it just sucks because this is a live service, and they've been working on it for like 8 years, maybe more. We don't know. They did some VR stuff, but that's whatever. I'm going to read some quotes, and I want to see your reactions to this. The first one. Unfortunately for Suicide Squad, once the fun story bits end, you're left with a much less inspired combat system and an open world that's filled with tedious tasks. Cameron, what do you think about that?
This is definitely an interesting one, like you said. So I will say I did find it very amusing, just in general, that this game and Gotham Knights previews were coming out around the same time a few years ago. I found that highly amusing because they both looked horrible to me. But yeah, no, I mean, as far as this quote goes, it doesn't surprise me, right? Like me too. The common thing with these recent superhero games, at least from what I've heard, is, the quote is saying once the fun story bits end, you're left with a much less inspired combat system. And I think that kind of lines up with what I was seeing in the previews, right? Like the combat in this game, like looked very rough to me. The big thing, and I saw a few other people mention this on their previews, is it looks like everybody plays the exact same way. And that is never a good thing when you have a, really any group of characters, right? But especially iconic characters like this. Like, I don't want Harley Quinn and, what is it, Deadshot? I'm terrible with comics. Is that his name?
Yeah, Deadshot.
Cool. Well, there you go. I guess I knew more than I thought. I don't want them to play the same way, right? And this game, to me, this is definitely not on my radar at all, I would say. But in general, tedious open world, much less inspired combat system, which another way of phrasing that is boring combat, I would say,
Yes.
is not surprising to me at all. And And I would be shocked if they hadn't said this, to be honest with you, from what I've seen of this game.
Henry?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really disappointing thing to see. Obviously, not necessarily because we all knew it was coming, but because Rocksteady's obviously a very talented developer. The Arkham games are all fantastic, some of the best games out there in general, to be quite honest. And this is a game that they've been developing for 8 years, something a very long time, and that's time they could have made another game that could have obviously been way better than this. At the end of the day, this is obviously a victim of a company that came in and said, you are making a live service game. Those are the games that make the most money. We need a Fortnite, or we need a Destiny or something like that. And this developer clearly just couldn't cope with that and didn't know how to make a good one. And I think making a good live service game is a very, very difficult thing to do. Bungie's the people who kind of pioneered it, and they are clearly struggling with it as well. So Suicide Squad could have been a good game, I think, if it was another Arkham game. And I think that you still see some of that DNA here. I think some of the story elements in the original Arkham games are some of the strongest points. And I think that seems to be where a lot of people are agreeing. This game still has that. The characters are fun. The story is interesting. But yeah, this combat looks bog standard. It looks like all the characters play very similarly. I think there are differences, obviously. I hope there are differences. That would be really ridiculous if there aren't. But I think in general, yeah, they do look like they play very similarly. It looks like there's a lot of shoehorned in live service elements that really didn't need to be there. And I can't see this game turning out very well, especially after previews. Maybe this could have been, something that came out of nowhere and maybe surprised, but given the pedigree. But this looks like it's going to turn into another Anthem or
Avengers.
Another. I think a better comparison is actually another Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah.
It looks like it is very, because I don't know if either you played Marvel's Avengers, but most impressions of that game are the single player is good, but everything else about that game sucks because it's all tied into a live service. And I think that this game is going to be somewhat comparable. So yeah, that's my long and short of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Suicide Squad. I mean, I don't know what happened to Rocksteady, man. I don't know what's going on. I think most of their developers that made the Batman games have left, I believe. A few key developers have left. So, you're left with this. Just games as a service. It's just terrible. Hopefully, I predict this game will shut down in about 2 years. 1 year, I'll be surprised. But then 2 years, I don't see it lasting for 2 years.
They have a long list of. I think they've already said they have a pretty long roadmap for this game. They intend on putting out a lot of content, but I think this game is still going to sell very well. I think the IP
Absolutely.
itself is going to sell it. So they're going to make money off of it, and they're going to feel the need to. They're going to have an install base there in that way. It's not going to be a good game. Gotham Knights, kind of Cameron brought that up. It sold incredibly well. It was one of the best-selling games of that year. In the top 20, not the top 5, but it was still a very, very successful game just because of the IP. The IP is going to sell this game, so they're going to make their money. They're going to be happy, but it's. I think it'll stick around. Probably, it's not going to die in 6 months or something like that. Personally, that's what I think.
All right. We can all agree that it'll be very mediocre when it comes out.
Yeah.
It's later this month, I think. I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's only in a couple weeks, I think.
Oh man, that's terrible. Also one more thing. Can you click the link in there? There's a picture of the HUD of the game, and I just it was a couple days ago when the NDA was lifted, and man, the HUD, it looks so bad. Do you guys remember the Elden Ring meme of the HUD?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I do.
It's
yeah.
so similar. You see numbers everywhere. It's checkpoints.
Oh, man.
I'm wow.
Yeah, this is brutal. This is
It's
brutal.
a very chaotic.
So I will say this is and I think this kind of was alluded to when we referred to playing like being mostly single player gamers, but I'm not really big on live service games. I just haven't historically played them. I don't have anything against them. But this right here is one of the bigger reasons why. Because I am one of those people that, I tweak with visual settings so that I'm not getting like screen shake and stuff like that. So when I see the HUD picture that you linked for this Suicide Squad, I'm crying seeing this because this is ugly. And it's hard to follow when you're playing a game like that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to even follow what's going on. So,
and I do think that is admittedly like a meme image. It is probably not as bad when you're playing the game. That's like got like combo meters going off and stuff like that. So like it there's probably a little bit, it's a little hyperbolic, but it's still ugly and it's still chaotic and it's still hard to follow. So yeah, I completely agree. This is not looking good. It's just not.
Yeah, we hope for Rocksteady for a successful launch later this month. I don't want them to get shut down. They have a lot of great games that they've made in the past, and it would suck to see them get.
For sure.
I think they might get bought out if this fails because I think the Avengers game cost Square Enix like $200 million. So I think this one is like right up there. It's like very expensive. Yeah. So they're banking on this one to succeed. Mm-hmm. All right, now let's get to the next one. This is a spicy one. This is from Jess Corden. He wrote this article for Windows Central. Rumors suggest Xbox is bringing more games to Nintendo Switch and PS5, but what's the truth? And this is from a couple of rumors and leakers. They said an acclaimed Xbox game that was in contention for Game of the Year will be on a different platform. And people have been guessing Psychonauts 2 for the Switch. I mean, it's already on the PlayStation Store, so people were like, not that. Some people said Sea of Thieves, which makes sense because it's like a live service. You want that as many platforms as you want. But the one title that people have been guessing a lot is Hi-Fi Rush, which, last year was a great title. I never played it, but I've seen a lot of great praise for it. And this would be a huge loss for Xbox, where they've been looking for exclusives and seeing this. I don't think it'll be on the Switch. It's supposed to run at 60 FPS. This is from the developer. They said 60 FPS is critical, so I think it's PS5. It might even come to the Switch too. Who knows? But Hi-Fi Rush on a different platform. What do you think, Cameron?
Yeah, I think this is great. Mostly because I want to play this game.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I think it's good to hear. I think something that's very interesting, right, about this rumor of Xbox bringing some of their games to PS5 and Switch is kind of what we were saying earlier. I'm conflicted on this a little bit because they do need that iconic punch that you have to get their system for. They need that system seller, and obviously they've been leaning hard on Starfield for that in recent months. Sort of incentive to get into that ecosystem. But on the flip side, I'm always down for, everybody on every system being able to play every game, right? Like that's always fun.
That's
and
ideal.
Especially with a game like Hi-Fi Rush, it's something that, this game isn't huge enough to make, people go out and buy their kid an Xbox, right? So I would love for this game to come to other consoles. I think this is a good move. Something that I know caused, and I'm getting just a tiny bit off track, but it's related to this, is something I know a lot of people were kind of curious about was, would Xbox bring Call of Duty to other consoles when they bought them out, right? Last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember.
And obviously they have, and they've stated, multiple times, we have plans for, Call of Duty to be on every console going forward. Who knows if that's going to be the case? My point of bringing that up is I think they do that because it's mutually beneficial, right? Of course, they're a company. Like, you can't not have Call of Duty on PS5 and lose all the PS5 players, right? And I think this, to me, is a move for Xbox saying, look, it's been out for a while on our console only. Whoever's going to buy it is probably already bought it. That's not always true, right? But it stands to reason that sales are heavily front loaded. So, whoever has an Xbox is going to buy this game. Like, most of them have already gotten it. They've already played it on Game Pass. Let's get some extra sales. Let's put it on other consoles. Let's make some more money. I think that's kind of what they're thinking. So, I mean, I would love it. Sea of Thieves, I could take or leave. I think it's a cool little game, but Hi-Fi Rush, I'm definitely interested in as somebody with these other two systems.
Henry, what do you think?
Yeah, going back to something you said early on, Alexis, you said, big loss for Xbox losing these games. I think the exact opposite.
Okay.
I think, obviously, Microsoft they own these games. So they make, they make the decision, obviously. But on top of that, I think something that I touched on earlier, this is Xbox. They are now they're a publisher. They're pretty much just a publisher at this point. I think they have no incentive to move forward with the Xbox as a console. It's now Game Pass and these games that they're publishing. And putting them on more platforms is just simply the correct way of going about that. Hi-Fi Rush is a fantastic game. I played it, obviously, day one with Game Pass, and it is really, really good. I think it would be right at home on something like a Switch. Sea of Thieves, it actually has become a very popular game. A lot of people enjoy that game, and it's a live service game, so it benefits them to put that in front of more people and not lock it behind a specific platform. This is them trying to entice people to get a Game Pass subscription. It's them just making money off of sales from another console. This is Microsoft's business model moving forward. It's not necessarily, they don't care about you necessarily being like an Xbox fanboy. They care about you having a Game Pass subscription. And whatever they have to do to get that happening is what they're going to do moving forward. So I think it's an obvious business move. It doesn't really hurt them per se. It's advertising. It possibly will get people on a Game Pass in some way, shape, or form. At the end of the day, I think we're going to see this with probably not all their titles, but a lot of their titles moving forward, is they will not be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Call of Duty especially. Not only was there obviously a legal agreement that they still have to put that on a Sony console for the next decade or something like that. I can't remember the exact 10 years. Yeah. It's, obviously that game needs a large community. It benefits them for doing that, but it is a Game Pass ecosystem moving forward, I think. That's my take.
Yeah, you said it's not a lot. I think it's a huge loss because, these exclusives, they make up the console. Of course, they're going to get more money if they put on another platform. But Hi-Fi Rush, man, that's a huge one. And then if Bethesda games come to, a different console, like PlayStation or the Switch 2, I think that's, huge because Starfield, I don't see Starfield coming to PlayStation. I think that's going to be on PC and Xbox, for life. Unless, in the next couple of years. I think I heard Phil Spencer say something about 2027 being, if they don't get enough Game Pass subscriptions, they might have to get out of the console business. But I'm not sure how accurate that thing is. But, yeah, so we'll see. This is huge. It's just a rumor at the end of the day, so take it with a grain of salt. All right. Now, let's get to the next topic about Hogwarts Legacy, which is the best-selling game of the year. I believe. This is from IGN. This is from the developers behind Hogwarts Legacy. They have confirmed a series of other games in the works. If you remember, it got leaked. The playtesters of a Quidditch game, which people thought was going to be in Hogwarts Legacy, but I guess they took it out and they just put it as a separate game. So it'll be a Quidditch game of Harry Potter in there. Well, we'll see, And this is surprising to me that for the first time since 2009, it could outsell Call of Duty. So, man, Call of Duty, a huge franchise. They sell millions and millions and millions. I don't really play it, but you got to recognize the popularity. And that's why it was a huge deal for Microsoft to buy Activision to get Call of Duty. And Sony was fighting for it. They let me can we get Call of Duty at least? And they signed like that 10-year agreement we talked about earlier. So yeah. So what do you think about this? I think 22 million sales for Hogwarts Legacy. It could be going up. First time since 2009. It could also Call of Duty. What do you think?
It's a massive deal. Obviously, this game, I'm not going to say came out of nowhere, but it has a massive IP attached to it that clearly struck a chord with a lot of people. They just were dying for a Harry Potter game, and the fact that it outsold Call of Duty is always the number one selling game. It's like not even by it's not even close. It's like always Call of Duty. So I don't think that that's necessarily a statement saying that like Call of Duty is on the decline. I think like sales wise it is, but it's still always like, that's like saying, like a hamburger is less better than like a chicken fingers or something. Like they're both still good. Like, or it's probably a horrible metaphor, but it's just the first thing that came to my mind.
I get it.
Yeah. So Call of Duty may be on a slight decline, but not significantly at all. So the fact that any game was able to dethrone it apparently 2009, obviously we're almost 15 years. It's always been the number one game. So it's crazy. And not only that, and you guys obviously stop me if we need to, but like this game had a massive public backlash against it. So like there were massive like boycotts of it and stuff like that, and clearly didn't touch this game at all. It went completely under the radar for the vast majority of the general consumers, and it didn't matter. It still ended up being the best-selling game of the year.
Yeah, and kind of jumping in on that point, I think you've hit on something that I've long said to friends that I've talked to about in the video game space of like, I think sometimes people way overestimate how the internet affects things. Does that make sense? So it's like,
absolutely.
I think some people thought that like this game was going to sell like 500,000 because of the internet, right? And it's not clearly not the case. And I think it's an interesting point to touch upon while you guys were talking about that. I actually pulled it up. It's by the end of 2023, 22 million copies.
Okay.
For Hogwarts Legacy, and then also I found a chart of the best-selling games last year. It's only through November, unfortunately, but it was ahead of Call of Duty, which obviously, Call of Duty didn't have as much time to catch up, but it's my understanding that the year finished out with Hogwarts at 1, like you guys said. So yeah, I think it's huge. And honestly, like you said, something that I think is the biggest point. People wanted another Harry Potter game. The last one was years ago, and it was terrible.
They're licensed games. Harry Potter licensed games.
Yeah,
It's bad.
Exactly. And it's like, it's not a game that I played. I personally, and we can kind of dive into this in a minute because I'm genuinely curious, you guys' opinions on Harry Potter, like as a franchise. I am personally not huge on it. So like, I didn't play this game because I don't really care for Harry Potter in general, which is obviously a blistering hot take. It's a massively popular franchise, but like, I was always a Lord of the Rings kid. So like,
Sure.
I didn't play it because I just wasn't really that interested in it, frankly, but it definitely sold bananas. I mean, that goes without saying. So it's kind of interesting for sure.
I think people underestimate the casual market. I mean,
Oh, totally.
yeah, Call of Duty, sports games and Call of Duty, like you don't see people talking about it online, and then they're just out here just selling so much, and I guess people just underestimate that. I mean, Harry Potter is just huge IP, huge.
It really is it's a testament to that for sure. And Cameron, what you were saying about Harry Potter, our experience with it, I did play Hogwarts Legacy because my wife is actually super into Harry Potter, like massive amounts. I grew up with the books. I read a few of them. I saw all the movies. I enjoyed the series. I enjoy the franchise. It's nice. I'm not like this massive fan though. But like my wife is super into it, and I got the game for her. I still haven't beat the game. She platinumed the game. She doesn't even play games.
Wow.
She platinumed it. Yeah, exactly, right? So this is I think the game is, in all honesty, from a person who plays a lot of these, obviously a lot of games, it's a very middling game. It's very average. It's your basic open world game. At the end of the day, it was 100% its association with this IP that led it to sell as well as it did and perform as well as it did critically. And, I'm okay with Harry Potter. The game itself is pretty middling, pretty average, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, like it just is that IP that is so strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was for Harry Potter. Like, I didn't play it. I was just waiting for it to go on sale. Maybe when it's $20, I'll pick it up. Because I used to watch the movies. I think I fell off after the fifth one, but this was like a long time ago. So I'm more like a casual fan. The one thing I'll say is that I knew this game was gonna sell crazy when I just saw people, my friends, that's just playing Hogwarts Legacy. Like these two of my friends, like they're casuals. They play like Madden, 2K, all that stuff. And I just see them playing Hogwarts Legacy. I'm like, yo, what? You're into Harry Potter? I'm like, oh, okay. They're like, oh, it's all right. So like I knew from there, it's like, oh, it got the casual market right there, which is not a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, No,
absolutely not. It's a way to like make a lot of money, obviously.
All right. So
yeah, no, there's definitely power in licensed games. Like you were kind of alluding to it earlier, and I didn't play the game obviously, so I don't not gonna sit here and speak on its quality of a game I've never even played, but a lot of licensed games are bad, like flat out, and I think that's pretty like universally accepted, and like I think this is better than its competition in that space, and like I think that obviously helps too. It's like, well, it's a IP that people love, and quite frankly, a lot of people are fanatic about. I mean, like, this is not just your run of the mill like, oh yeah, I'm kind of a fan of Game of Thrones. This is like some people build their personalities around this IP.
22 million sales for Hogwarts Legacy. I believe their first major title. So it's from Avalanche Software, so congrats to them. We'll see what's the next game about, but yeah. All right, next one. Let's get to the next one. So this is about Spider-Man 2, which is a game that just came out like in November. Was it November, I believe, or October? It was one of those months, I forgot.
It was late October.
Okay, yeah late October. This is about from the face model for Mary Jane in that game. And I guess she's receiving backlash from fans, and then she had to put out a statement about it. She was receiving voicemail messages that made her feel unsafe. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I feel like this happens a lot with voice actors and models in games.
Absolutely.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know what's the point of that, because I'm like, oh, okay, it's whatever. Like, there's been some actors I felt indifferent, like Ada Wong in the Resident Evil 4 remake.
Oh, man.
Yeah, her voice was underwhelming. I don't know why they changed it, but I'm not going to go like on her socials and just harass her, which happened to her, and as well as The Last of Us Part 2. What was her name? Abby.
Yeah,
Abby.
Oh, man, that was terrible. I mean, people were rioting and stuff over on their social media.
It happened to Horizon as well. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people do that. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to take it from this, maybe.
Yeah, so I have some things to say about this. So to me, this is, first of all, I just want to start out by saying we're going to get back to the Ada Wong thing in a minute after we talk about this, because I want to talk about that. But no, I have things to say about this. So I mean, like, this flat out is just fucking stupid to me. Like, this type of stuff makes me really frustrated, because like, here's the thing: video games are for fun. Right? Like, we're playing these things because we enjoy them. We're playing these things because we like them. Like,
totally.
Why are you so invested in a face model or actress, like, being exactly who you want them to be, that you're gonna blow up on them like this? This stuff is psychotic to me. And I think this is a problem with the internet in general, where it's like, I think being behind a screen and not having to actually like talk to somebody face to face emboldens a lot of people. Like, I guarantee you none of these people would be saying this to her if they had to, say it to her on the street. Now, I like you said, you said you weren't surprised, Alexis, which I actually, I get where you're coming from, because like you hear about this stuff all the time. You hear about it with video games, you hear about it with movies. Yeah, it's effed up. Like to me, it's crazy. It's psychotic, and like I don't understand why it's really hard for people to voice displeasure without going over the deep end. Obviously, it goes without saying. My opinion on this is nobody should ever be getting like death threats for frankly anything, but nobody should be getting death threats for the role that they played in a video game. Like that's just kind of, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, do better.
And frankly, like, I haven't played Spider-Man 2. That's a huge blind spot for me in terms of last year's games, but I played the first one. She's not in the game a ton.
I saw people complaining about that a lot, like the first one.
It's like I can honestly say that even if she had, which I'm not saying she did, she was fine in the first game. But even if her actress had done a horrible job in the first game, I wouldn't have cared that much because she's not in the game that much. So it's like, why do you even care? Because I'm obviously I'm assuming a lot here, right? Because I haven't played the second one, but I know that these games are about Spider-Man. They're about Miles Morales. Like these characters are not, or this game, I should say, is not centralized on Mary Jane. So like, why are we blowing up at a side character? That's my take. So,
Henry, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of layers here, and obviously it's just stupid to contact these people and tell them that you don't like them. Like that's just weird to me. It's obviously if you're death threatening people. I don't think she said she had death threats, but she had like stalkery, like harassment issues, which is still messed up. And it's not cool. Certainly don't do it. I have to say that like you guys were talking about like Ada Wong and I have heard that. I have not played RE4 remake. It is on my to-do list. I love the original.
Amazing.
But I have heard people say, "Oh, I don't like the voice actress for Ada Wong. She's not good," which is totally understandable if you don't like her performance. If it's bad, sure. I think it's a little different with this because it's like, let's be frank, people were mad at this chick because they thought she was ugly. Like they were harassing just her face model, not the actress, the face model, who like they based the look of the character off of, which is just even weirder. Like why are you angry at the fact that you just aren't turned on by this chick? Like that's just weird. And that's happened a lot. That was a huge Last of Us issue. That was a huge Horizon specifically. It was a huge issue. There's a little bit of devil's advocate here that like Spider-Man specifically, for some reason they change out the face models a lot. Like the original Spider-Man for the first Spider-Man game and Spider-Man 2 are completely different. Same thing with the Mary Jane model, and I guess people preferred that. You could make the argument that these people maybe just preferred the original face model, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think it is people just mad that she's not as attractive to them, and they're harassing her over it, and I think that that's totally messed up. It's all around just a weird thing that the internet, for some reason, feels the need to do, and probably should just stop.
Well said. I think people are just mad about her gameplay sections. I mean, I don't know what's up with Spider-Man fans. They just want to fight and swing around. They don't want anything else. I mean, the Mary Jane missions, they look all right. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
They're a change of pace. I've played both Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Miles Morales, and it's just a change of pace. That's all it is. If you did nothing but play Spider-Man, it'd probably get a little repetitive, and all those segments are doing is just trying to break up the pacing.
Yeah.
That's all they do. And it's not horrible.
All right. I mean, we agree with everything about that. Oh, you want to say anything, Cameron?
Yeah, no, I was going to add in. I actually really appreciate you making the distinction between the Ada Wong thing and this, because I do think they're two completely different things. I agree with you on that fully. I do want to say, though, because like I said, I do want to talk about this. So, Alexis, sounds like I think you did play RE4. I'm replaying it right now, and um, I I don't know if it's the director of the game. I don't know if it's the voice actress. I'm not sure. I don't understand why they did it this way. Like she sounds like she literally does not care about anything happening in this game. Like I've as I'm replaying it, I'm obviously, running into her again. And I haven't played the DLC yet, so I'm sure that's going to also probably grate on me a little bit, I'm sure. But I just don't get it. Like, I'm honestly just confused. It's not even really that I'm like that pissed off about it, because like frankly it's low stakes. Like I'm definitely not gonna do any of this stuff. But like I just don't get it. Like, do you have any insight into why, or like what is your opinion on that? Because I think it's really poorly done.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I think all the voice actors in that game are like perfect. Like Leon,
Yep.
Luis, Krauser perfectly, and as well as Ashley. I think they all do really good. I mean, they're all like new voice actors, so they did a great job with Ada, man. She just sounds bored. Like she doesn't want to be there. That's like the thing. And like she has no emphasis with her voice. Like it could be she was like in trouble like later in the game, and like she just sounds like dull, like nothing's happening. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, at first I'm like, is it the directors? But then you realize like, oh wait, all the voice actors are really good. So maybe she just
That's a great point.
She just probably didn't know, but it sucks because the Resident Evil 2 remake of Ada, her voice was just like perfect, like
yes,
chef's kiss.
Yes,
like, perfect. I'm like,
I fully agree with you on that.
Yeah. You want to say anything more about Resident Evil 4? Or you want to save that for later?
We'll save it.
All right, let's get on to the next topic about Baldur's Gate 3. Baldur's Gate 3, huge game of the year last year, 2023. It launched on Xbox and during the Game Awards, like a stealth drop. So one thing that's been happening to Xbox players, like so many issues with the port, but one of them is Microsoft has been banning people who upload sexual scenes from Baldur's Gate 3. And I guess there was one that some guy, he uploaded like multiple clips. He just got banned instantly. He posted it like online on his Reddit, and it was like 3 strikes on his account. His account was done. So now, I guess right now they've been refunding or like returning like the bans, reinstating, I'll say. From the Larian devs, they said it's annoying and uncool, which is funny because you would never see developers say this. So like, shout out to Larian. They're out there like fighting the good fight. I feel like if it was another developer, they would just stay banned. But yeah, this has been I will say one thing. This has been like a recurring theme from people who have been screen recording like on Xbox, where they got banned for like even gory scenes, like violent scenes. Like they get like strikes on their account, and I guess this is a tipping point. So right now people are like getting reinstated, but the Xbox support, they said that they're going to continue banning people for that. I'm like, what? So what was the point of this? But now, yeah, what do you guys think, Cameron, about Baldur's Gate 3? They're banning people, but now I guess not anymore. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I think as somebody who has uploaded some of these himself, no, I'm kidding. Have not done that. But no, I think in all seriousness, I think this is, if I had to guess, right, and they haven't said this one way or another yet, but if I had to guess, this is probably getting picked up automated, right? Some kind of AI thing initially. Totally. Similar probably to what you're referring to with the violent scenes. It's probably getting picked up by something, and they're sounds like they're kind of manually going back and unbanning people. I think this is a complicated topic for me because to me, and this is just my opinion, it doesn't really make sense to ban people who are sharing this if you're making a game that has it in there, right? So it's like, okay, now I will say this, and I would love some clarity on this. Are they sharing this like publicly on the Xbox platform, or is it go into a section designated for Baldur's Gate 3? I don't have an Xbox. I don't know how that works. Do you guys know?
Yeah, I know.
That's a good question. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
please.
so supposedly this is like on the Xbox like platform. So whenever you share a clip, it auto uploads. But that's like it like it auto uploads because like it's default. So like people like a lot of people are like not noticing that. So yeah, I mean, I guess like on Xbox when you share it, it goes to your profile and people can see it. But for some reason, like for like M-rated games or something like that, it doesn't censor it or give like a spoiler warning or something like that. So like it's just like a public thumbnail. So like people are uploading, you just see like a sex scene like in Baldur's Gate 3 on somebody's profile. So I guess
that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, this is okay. This is different then. This is definitely different. Yeah, that's on me for not digging deep enough into that. But yeah, no, I think that definitely changes things then. So to me, this is this kind of goes back to what we were talking about previously, but this is odd to me that people are even doing this in the first place. So that needs to be stated right off the bat. Like, why would you even upload this anyways if it goes public like that? I was under the understanding, and I think in an ideal world, this is how they would do it, that if you uploaded clips, because this is how it works on my PlayStation, I can upload clips to my profile. I can upload them to my Twitter if I have it linked right, but they're marked in that way. Whereas if I upload a clip of a specific game or I'm streaming a specific game, as somebody who used to stream it off and on, it shows under that game's umbrella, right? So like, it's not going to, if I upload a clip of, me getting my head chopped off in Resident Evil, it's going to go to Resident Evil 4 in that umbrella. So like, it's a little bit, no pun intended, it's a little bit like safer in that way. This is very weird. I don't know why they would not have that kind of filter in place. Why would you not build in a way to censor it when it's being uploaded to like a public domain? So yeah, I think that's kind of odd. I mean, they definitely need to do something about that because I do stand by, like, I don't think you should necessarily be banned if you upload it to the game's page. Like if I'm on Baldur's Gate 3 looking at clips on an M-rated game, I know what I'm looking at. However, with that being said, you should absolutely get banned if you just post to a public Xbox, forum or something, a thumbnail that just shows the middle of sex, right? That's kind of over the line, I think, a little bit. And I would feel the same way, frankly, about the violence. Like if I had, I have no children of my own, but if I had a kid that, could just go click on Xbox Gamers Forum or however it works on the platform, and the first thing they see is a Leon headless with blood spurting out of his neck, like, I would probably have a problem with that, right? So I think that's kind of something that the onus is on Microsoft in this case. Yeah.
And Henry, what do you think about this Baldur's Gate just banning people for uploading themselves?
Yeah, it's interesting because I saw this headline initially and I thought it was funny because I know that Baldur's Gate 3 has, gratuitous sex in it or whatever, just sex in general.
It's goblins fucking.
And yeah, exactly, right? You can have sex with all sorts of crazy stuff in that game. So like, I knew that stuff was happening and I thought it was funny that they would ban something like that or that it was even out there in the first place because, I assumed everybody knew that. But knowing what I know now, delving into it a little bit more, it's a lot more of a complicated subject. I kind of agree with Cameron. Like, if you're just posting porn on a public area, depending on how this is set up on Microsoft's side, like, yeah, you should probably, like, at least the post should be removed. Like, maybe banning is probably worthwhile too if you're doing it a lot. But like, it should probably be removed. It shouldn't be in a publicly accessible space. It's just interesting that there's not some kind of a flag for this. You think that there would be some way to mark this stuff in a game because it's a cutscene most likely. So you'd think it would be easily markable. I know PlayStation has the ability to do that. Like, there's times when you cannot record certain clips from games, because developers mark them. So you'd think there would be a way around this. Um, I also understand why somebody would not be okay with it. It's artistic in a way. So Larian coming out and saying, we don't appreciate them doing that. They're restricting our art. Possibly is what they mean by that. Maybe so. It could go either way, to be quite honest. But I think that there's probably a way to do this. If it's being posted publicly, though, I don't think that's the way. So that's my take.
Yeah, man, I feel the same way about you. And this is all like culminating into like the rough launch on Xbox, because I remember hearing about people's saves being lost. Like they will have like, I saw one guy, he had like 80 hours and he just lost all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like there was like no way he could get it back. And also, there's another thing wrong. I forgot, but I think it was something about like the game stuttering a lot, like on Act 3. I never played Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, Act 3 is very buggy.
Okay.
I think, at least certainly around launch, it was pretty much Act 1 was the only thing they had really fine-tuned, and Act 3 was still pretty much in early access. So I think that they've fine-tuned a lot of that and smoothed it out, but yeah, it was very, very bad early on.
And it's crazy because Baldur's Gate launched like late, like in December. Like it didn't even launch with like the PS5, so... I mean, if it launched with the PS5, that's like when Starfield came out, so probably would have got like buried. But December launch, I mean, just rough for Xbox so far. But this is not console war, so it's whatever. I'm not talking shit about Xbox. I'm just speaking the facts. So, all right,
Sure.
Yeah, all right. So the next one is talking about layoffs. So 2023, huge year for games, but lots of layoffs from many companies and.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, a lot. So Unity, the game engine, they were just, if you remember, they were under fire for like a couple months of the new pricing for the engine, and like, a lot of companies and developers were like not happy. I think I saw like Cult of the Lamb. They're talking about like I'm gonna take out my game if you don't reverse this pricing decision. So, man, it's just, and then this is like another round. So they had layoffs like late last year. And now, like, this is just, like, another round, so terrible. I mean, the whole industry, not just games, but, in jobs everywhere. Like, tech and stuff. Like, just, like, layoffs everywhere. So, like, this is just, sadly, another round of layoffs for 25% of staff. So, that's a lot, so.
That's a huge chunk.
Huge.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys want to say anything about this. If you can skip by it or say something real quick. Cameron?
Yeah, I think obviously it's very unfortunate, and I always hate hearing anybody losing their jobs, but especially a quarter of their staff. That's a lot of people. So it's unfortunate. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that this is directly, related to the engine use controversy from a few months ago, which was a whole other can of worms, but. Could be indirectly related. I don't know. What I do know is, obviously that it happened, and yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I hope they find new jobs elsewhere pretty quick. Obviously, you want people to get back on their feet, but I think it's not just the video game space, like you said. I mean, this is happening. A lot of companies, a lot of big companies. I just heard about some massive Google layoffs as well.
Yeah,
and so
I think over 1,000 people.
Yeah, wow. And so it's unfortunate. I will say if there's one thing that does bother me about layoffs in the video game space, and this isn't necessarily the case here with Unity, but it's just an aside where it does bother me quite often when I've seen the past few years where this game will come out and be hugely successful and then they'll lay off a bunch of people. Obviously not the case here, but yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, That's kind of all there is for me to say about it.
Henry, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, just in line with what Cameron was saying, I agree, this is probably not in direct relation to the controversy around the engine with Unity, if I had to guess. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I feel like that probably would have happened a while ago if it was directly related. Like he said, a lot of layoffs. Not only Google. Google just, at the time of this recording, was announced a couple days ago. Same thing with Twitch. Twitch just had another round of layoffs as well.
Saw them.
Like it's everywhere, and a lot of it's a lot of inside baseball. But like it has a lot to do with laying people off increases your share price. It gets your stock ticking back up. Interest rates are higher now, and therefore a lot of tech companies are considered higher risks in the stock market. So a lot of people went out, stock prices went down. The easiest way to recover. A lot of these companies bloated during the pandemic, and thinking that their business models would continue throughout the pandemic like that, and obviously it wasn't the case. So a lot of companies are laying off to not only mitigate the excess hiring that they had during the pandemic, but also to increase their share prices as well after some have dipped. So it's at the end of the day, it's a huge business thing. It's unfortunate that regular people are caught in the crossfire. I expect we're going to continue seeing layoffs, unfortunately. It's probably not ending anytime soon, but it's probably just end of quarter. People are laying people off, so It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. We're gonna see more into this new year, and people are saying like, oh, 2023 is a good year for games, but bad for layoffs. But I think 2024 will also have layoffs, especially from Rocksteady. So we'll see about that. I mean, there's a lot of companies, they're hurting for money. I mean, their games don't sell. Boom, whole company dead because games are like expensive to make. So
totally.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. There we go. For layoffs, Unity sucks for everybody involved. Hopefully they get back on their feet. And this is our last topic. So this one is a personal one for me. This is why I added it pretty recently. This is talking about Apex Legends and their Final Fantasy crossover event. And when I first saw it, this was revealed at the Game Awards. And I was just like, oh, cool, Apex. I haven't played Apex like in a long time. So like, oh, cool. I might hop back onto it. And then I found out that the skins and everything are like expensive. Like the skins are like $21 like for each one. I mean, you have to buy the coins, but that's like similar to that. So in total, if you want to get everything in this collection for this collab, it is going to cost you $290 for cosmetic skins. And what's worse about it is the skins for the characters are in first person. So when you're like,
ooh,
so you're not even seeing your own character.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't even think of that, but yep.
Yeah.
Neither did I.
Apex.
The only time you're going to see your skin is like in the lobby or like when you win a game, and that's it. I mean, you'll see your hand, like that's it. But yeah, $290 for everything at the end of like, so after you spend like $290, you get a Buster Sword. So if you know Buster Sword is from like Final Fantasy VII, Cloud Sword. So you can carry that. That's like a melee weapon, like a cosmetic. So people were hounding for that sword. $290. I'm just gonna keep repeating that because that's ludicrous. I mean, come on, man. Like, why 290? Like, and the skins are like, they're like very mid. They're like, they don't really look that good except for like one. But yeah, this one sucks as a Final Fantasy fan because I've been wanting Final Fantasy like crossovers like in Fortnite. I don't know if you guys still play Fortnite, but I like the skins in there. They do a really good job of like translating like from their like medium, so like from like anime, comics, or whatever, and like
They
do a good job. They
do.
respect it, and it's cheaper too. It's like $15. I mean, it's still a lot of money when you think about it, but it's cheaper, and like if you get it like in a bundle, it's way cheaper. So yeah, this one sucks. Apex Legends. I mean, I heard this game is just like falling off. I guess people are like very angry at like the state of the game. Yeah, this one sucks for me personally. I don't know about you guys. Cameron, what do you think about it? I heard you play Final Fantasy 9. I remember.
Yeah, I do. I do, or I did recently, I should say. But yeah, no, I think this is this is kind of an interesting one to me because I have always been that person that never buys skins in anything. So like I basically never shell out any kind of money for cosmetics. I know a lot of people who do, but I was always the guy just running the default skin with the default gun skin and like just looking like a newbie. But I think I think as somebody who's like always trying to hunt a deal in the video game space, always trying to track sales so I can play as much as I can, get games on the cheap. It's hard for me to rationalize just like spending, like for example, you stated $21 for a skin. in Apex. It's hard for me to rationalize that because I think what I could have gotten for that money instead in the video game space, and I'm like, it just doesn't add up. And so I'm like, man, this is like, this is like 2 indie games if I get them dirt cheap. So I personally, I sympathize with people like who do care about this thing. I really do, because $21 is a lot for a skin. I have no insider knowledge into development cost it takes to make a skin and make that interact with, various environments in a video game. It's not at all related to what I do for a job. So I can't sit here and say, like, that seems really high for the amount of work put in. But my unknowledgeable opinion is $21 is a lot of money. Especially for something cosmetic, especially for a game that's in first person.
Oh, yeah.
I have zero interest in Apex in general, I would say, frankly. But this could have potentially enticed me to hop in, like you said, but not for that much. I'm sorry. I love my Final Fantasy, but I don't know if I love it enough to pay 21 for a skin. So
yeah,
man. This one. What do you think about this, Henry? $290 just for a Buster Sword. Oh, I forgot to add one more thing. You also get the death box from, like, when you die, you drop a box. On the design of it is like the one-winged angel from Sephiroth. So it's on it, but
that's sick.
You're gonna have to spend $290. What do you think about that, Henry? Very expensive.
I think in general, this is money, money, money. This is how these free-to-play games work. It's honestly, it's a whole conversation in of itself, but I mean, a lot of these games are predatory in their pricing models. Just to be frank, I'm just like Cameron. I'm a deal hunter. I need as much money as I can for other things, so I try to hold off on, because gaming is a really expensive hobby. It is not a poor man's hobby. $70 for a new game is a lot of money, and so like $20 for a skin, which to me isn't going to necessarily increase my enjoyment of the game at all. It's still going to be just as fun if I do or don't have a skin. I'm easily going to pass on that. I don't think I've ever bought any cosmetics in a game ever, nor have I really been super tempted to. And like $21, I will say, Cameron, you were saying I don't know how much it is to put a skin in a game. Not much. It is a very minuscule amount of work. Overall, for the amount of their return to put these skins in, it is inherently predatory because you can't just buy these skins with regular money. You have to buy them with in-game currency, which is why these skins are $21.50, not just like $19.99 or whatever, is because you're buying it with this currency that makes it have to cost more.
Fantastic.
Because instead of like $20, it's 2,000 Apex dollars. I'm not exactly sure of what the currency is and what it translates to. Coins. So that would inherently be by the return, or by the translation of the currencies, an extra $1.50 or whatever the case is. I see this in Fortnite all the time. I don't play Fortnite that much. I occasionally do. There's a friend that I have that really enjoys playing Fortnite, and so we'll hop into a game just to kind of hang out every once in a while. But I do know some like neighborhood kids that love Fortnite, and like I had to explain to their parents, like, oh yeah, like there's some stuff you really need to keep an eye on in this game, because if you're not careful, your kid is gonna it's deliberately trying to tempt players into buying these things. The inherent design of the games in general is trying to do that, and they're incredibly overpriced, horrifically so. I mean, you can get DLC for most games for $10. Yeah. That's actual content.
Before.
You can get an entire indie game, like Cameron was saying, for $10. You can get it for less on a sale. Depending on where you're looking and what you're looking for. So like, this is highway robbery in my opinion, and you see this all the time. I think, and Alexis, you may be able to confirm this for me, but I think they did a crossover with Dragon Ball Z a long time, or not that long ago. Yeah. And I think each individual skin of Goku and Vegeta was $30.
$30?
Which is...
No, it wasn't.
I think...
It wasn't $30.
What was it? What was it?
I remember they were more expensive than normal. I remember people noticing that. Like, why are these more expensive than the other ones? But I think they were like $18. I think.
It's
I'm
okay,
seeing
okay.
16 on Google. Yeah, I just double checked
Okay.
real quick. I'm seeing
Okay,
16,
thank you for
so-
fact check. So it must have been
absolutely.
for both. For both, it was 30 bucks.
Yeah,
30
that-
bucks. I
that
bet.
makes
And I caved in.
That must have been what I think. But again, that's just for a skin, $15. Like it's something that I don't transcribe to or I don't subscribe to, and it unfortunately though is how they make all their money. That and season passes. Season passes is also a huge thing for these free to play games, but cosmetics has been a thing for a long time. That's how they make a lot of money off of whales. Is a large percentage of their revenue comes from whales. So people who put a lot of money into these games, and it seems very easy to do if you're able to buy one skin for $15. So, yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, and something just to add to your point, Henry, I think something you said that hit the nail on the head is the design is designed this way 100% because
Yeah.
you know what you just made me think of in Fortnite, these skins going away if you don't buy them in time, which a lot of online games are doing that now, and it's like, guys, come on, dude. Like, are you really going to prevent them from going back and buying it when X amount of time has passed? That's some bullshit. Like, that is 100% just profit driven. Like, it goes without saying. So,
You could honestly have an entire conversation about all
Absolutely.
the little details that these games do to try and really and honestly manipulate people into buying and into spending more time in these games. They're supposed to be lifestyle games, and they're supposed to eat away a good portion of your lifestyle income. So that's just how they're designed. And, you know, Fortnite, Roblox, all these games are some of the most Genshin Impact. They're all some of the most profitable games in the industry every year. So, and they're all designed like that. So, it's an interesting topic to talk about for sure.
absolutely. Genshin makes so much money.
Oh man,
So much
crazy.
money.
and I think that's why Sony wants to get into games as a service because they see all this money. I mean, they're starting with Helldivers 2, but would we count that as a live service? I don't even know because it's $40 at launch.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, sure.
live service is an interesting definition on its own because there's way different live service games. Like there's the live service game that just simply, you know, they add like No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's technically not live service technically by, you know, the definition if you're comparing it to Fortnite, but they worked on that game for years after it came out and constantly added new stuff and none of it was paid, right? And I actually I think they did have a paid DLC like a year ago or something, but most of the big updates were unpaid versus, you know, something like Helldivers 2. It's like, I think if I had to guess, there's going to be like a battle pass. There's going to be that sort of thing. So even live service is a tricky thing to nail down, I think.
It is very tricky.
And expensive to manage too because I mean we were talking about Marvel's Avengers that cost Square Enix a lot of money, and like right now they're like they're like losing a lot of money right now for Square Enix, and I guess that one and Babylon's Fall. I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, that was that was terrible. But
yeah, they've been on a bit of a cold streak in my opinion. They're having a rough last few years. I know FF16 sold fairly well for what they expected, but that's, I mean, one of the few hits I feel like of the past couple of years. So, and they've invested a lot of money too. That's the problem. It's like, you know, saying FF16 did well on its own sounds fantastic, but when you consider that was among a list of like 6 big games, Forspoken, anybody? Like it's like, yeah, they've had a rough go of it in recent times. So,
and it sucks because I think Square Enix has like a lot of great IPs. I mean,
oh yeah,
they released some
classics.
Yeah, they released some great games. I mean, earlier this year they released Octopath 2, and that's just like brilliant turn-based game. So, same with FF16. When you play that game, like when I was playing it, I'm like, oh man, this is like an expensive game. Looking at like the battles and shit. Like
yeah. Definitely some money went into it.
I'm like, wow. I'm like, did they even make a profit off this? They probably made a little bit, but you know what? Because it was an exclusive, I bet Sony paid a lot of money for them. So
no doubt.
I guess it undercut some costs there. So yeah, I mean that's it for the news. I don't know if you want to add anything else in terms of like
I'm good to go, baby.
All
Think so.
right, so we want to get into our last section, which is what we have been playing recently. So I want to get started with mines. The first one I want to give a shout out to is like an underrated game, I guess, but it's called Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. So there's like a lot of very confusing title if you've never heard of it. So the gist of this is that it's a rhythm game for Final Fantasy songs. So you just choose the song from like it has songs from every like mainline title as well as like some side offs. So like there's like a lot of content in this one. I think it's like over 380 songs, I think. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that. I mean, it's just fun. But I just hate playing it because I haven't played all of the games yet. So like I've been in and out.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't want to. They show spoilers. I mean, they show.
Yep.
There's like boss fights, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna play this anymore. I'll just play.
Oh, I didn't know that they spoiled stuff in it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
crazy.
man. They because Alexis can elaborate on this, and I've actually been eyeing this too. So I'm glad you brought this up. You can elaborate on this more, but yeah, Henry, they show like iconic scenes from the game as the song is playing.
Yes.
And I will say it is in like an edited format. It's like chibi style.
Yeah, chibi
but
style.
it's still the gist of the scene, you know what I mean, is being shown on screen. So I was eyeing this, like I said, and that scared me off because I haven't played all the Final Fantasy games yet. I want to eventually. 6 is a big blind spot for me, and like I'm like, dude, this is straight up freaking spoiling the game when I saw gameplay of this.
Because I only played the ones that I finished, so I finished like a couple, but like they're like in chibi style, like you said. Like they'll just show like the final boss, like in the chibi style, and like the backgrounds and everything will be like of that what's happening during that battle in the real game. So yeah, I mean I got it for like $20. It was on sale at Amazon, so it was this past Christmas, so I got that for $20. I highly recommend it for any Final Fantasy fan. Also, one more thing I want to add: there's DLC for this game, and I feel like it's very egregious. So,
very.
Oh man,
Yeah. I played the demo and I saw that. It's a lot.
Okay, so they have DLC for like a lot of Square Enix games, so like Chrono Trigger, Nier, all that Xenogears. So you can buy the DLC for that. It's like season passes, and what sucks is that FF16 music is locked behind a DLC pack. So I think it's like $5. So like I'm just waiting for a sale because I'm not gonna pay for all that. I'm just gonna buy like all the season passes. I mean, in total, it's like $40, I think.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I'm like, oh snap! Good thing I bought this game on sale. So
Yeah.
and what was one more thing I wanted to add? They also locked behind like some iconic songs from the games. Have you played Final Fantasy X?
Oh
have,
yes.
Okay, so
it's one of my favorites.
what sucks?
It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. So what sucks is that they locked "To Xanarkin." You know that song that plays.
Oh,
They locked it behind
no.
a digital deluxe edition, so you have to upgrade it. So I'm like, oh what?
Oh
I'm like,
jeez.
what the fuck? I'm like, bro, that's like the most like iconic song from that game.
It is the song from that game.
Yes, and-
that is the song. I went to Distant Worlds actually last year,
Oh,
which is
man.
the Final Fantasy concert series, and
Oh, cool.
that was the song they finished on. Like that is the song they built this damn thing around. Like that is shocking to me that they would hide that one.
Yeah.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah, you gotta pay money for it. I don't know what else songs they locked behind, but I know that one's a huge one. I saw people complaining. So, yep, that's Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line, and I want to go to my other ones real quick. FF7 Remake DLC. I was just playing this yesterday. It's fucking awesome. I mean, one of
that's cool.
one of the best games on the PS4, PS5, like Final Fantasy 7 Remake. Man, I fucking love that game.
It's great. One of my favorites too.
Oh man, it's so good.
Same.
Like I see people complaining about like splitting it into parts, but like the remake just expanded like so much. So I'm playing through the DLC. It's awesome. Highly recommend it for anyone who hasn't.
Do you guys play it subbed or dubbed?
I'm
Dubbed.
curious.
English dub. No, I don't play
Yeah,
Japanese.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I did too. I play a lot of JRPGs in Japanese actually, but I did play the 7 remake in English. I love that DLC too. It's fun and it's so
DLC's
different gameplay wise too.
Yeah.
They do a great job of that.
About the dub thing, I have a confession to make. When I first played the remake, I played in Japanese, so
Nice.
it was all right. And then for my replay, when I replayed like on hard mode, when I played it on English, I'm like, wow, this is so good. Like the dub is perfect. I mean, every voice in there is just like
It's phenomenal.
spot
Yeah.
on.
It's a great dub.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, that's FF7 remake. Play it if you haven't. I hate recommending this for people and they don't play it. So yeah. Next is these are quick, so I only played these for like a couple hours. So God of War Ragnarok.
Nice.
Beautiful game. If you have it like on the TV that has VRR, I think. So like it goes up to like 100 frames per second. So
Nice.
it looks fucking good. I've been playing Fortnite. We were talking about this earlier, but I think Fortnite is like on the come up, man. I feel like it's like a lot of
So huge.
yeah.
Still.
And this new season they had Peter Griffin in there, and they also
What
have
Yeah,
the fuck?
yeah.
I did not know that.
but
I saw that.
what sucks is because to like make the skin fair, they made him skinny, so like he's buff and stuff. So he's not fat, which sucks because I think like part of his thing is like him being like big and like chubby was like a huge part of him, but they made him buff. Like he looks like a
That's hilarious.
yeah. He has
Yeah, it's a reference to a one-off joke in the show.
Oh, okay.
That's why they did that.
okay. I didn't know that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I've been playing that. I mean, it's pretty fun. We were just playing. I was playing yesterday with my friends. We just won a couple games. I recommend it. It's free. Go for it. Monster Hunter World. I bought the DLC, but I haven't tried it out. I've just been grinding, just like the side missions and side quests and stuff like that. I do want to get into Iceborne. I heard like that's like the real end game. So excited to start with that. And yeah, that's it. I mean, Henry, you want to start off with your list?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Final Fantasy VII Remake because obviously the sequel Rebirth, part 2 of 3 of that series comes out in 2 months, I think, or close to it, right around the corner. And so I loved the first remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake game. Really resonated with me. Really enjoyed it. Was easily my favorite game of that year, and something about the story and characters really did just hit right with me. Really enjoyed the chemistry between like Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. Like they were all
Yep.
great in that game. Like the love triangle. I don't know why, but like I just loved that. And then obviously just the story in general, combat, everything about that game really to me was very good. So trying to avoid spoilers, so I'm going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, which is a remake of the PSP game Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core that came out in like I think 2007. Yeah, 2007
For PSP.
So like it's for PSP, but it focuses on it's a prequel story. So it focuses on a completely separate character named Zack that is kind of in Final Fantasy VII, but at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, they allude to this character is going to be a really big part of the upcoming games, which we can get. That's a totally another discussion. But this character is essentially hardly ever in the original Final Fantasy VII, and they gave him a prequel game to kind of elaborate on why he was so important to the story of Final Fantasy VII in the first place, which I found pretty interesting. So my history of Final Fantasy VII is an interesting one. I actually played Final Fantasy VII, the original, for the first time a few years ago, just on a whim because it's considered one of the better JRPGs ever made, really. And it ends up being pretty different in ways to the remake. Like they're clearly taking some different turns with the story and characters that they didn't do in the first original game. In my opinion, you need to know what happens to this character Zack to have reference to what is possibly coming in the next few games. So I played this game out of basically a necessity to fully understand the next game, Rebirth.
Okay.
So this game is old. They did a great job remastering it though. A complete graphic overhaul, looks great. Combat has been touched up, much smoother. At the end of the day, though, this is still a PSP game that was released in 2007. It is based around very short bursts of missions, and in all honesty, it's fairly grindy. So like even if you're just going through like a main mission, you will eventually, if you don't do all the side content, which there's a good bit of, you will hit this wall at some point where like an enemy will just one shot you, and there's nothing you can do about it, and you can't do any damage to it. And there's actually like legitimate walls at some point. Enemies will do like unblockable moves that if you're not the right level, you will just straight up die. So the game forces you to do this side content, which is completely like an artifact of the fact that it was a PSP game, and it was designed around the fact that you were going to pick this up on the bus and play for 5, 10, 15 minutes, something like that, and then put it away again. Mm-hmm. And these missions are very short. It takes you like 2 to 5 minutes to complete some of these side missions. At the end of the day, I think this game's gameplay is good for what it is, considering its lineage, but it's still like you're here for the story. You're definitely here for the story. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think I was very pleasantly surprised with the story. I'm obviously, we've discussed, a Kingdom Hearts fan to an extent. So like kind of nonsensical anime stories work for me in a way. And Final Fantasy VII Reunion kind of has that in a way. It's very anime, very melodramatic, touches on a lot of characters that often don't make a lot of sense. But at the end of the day, it's still a pretty resonating story. I would say that like one major thing that I had a problem with is this game doesn't really focus on Cloud at all, which if you know the original game, like Cloud and Zack's relationship is kind of a massive deal. Like there's a very big connection there. Yeah. And even though it's not really explained at all in the main game, there is like a massive connection. And Cloud is really just kind of in the background for the majority. He's actually unconscious for a majority of this game where he's in it. So he's not talking, he's not interacting, he's just kind of literally passed out around, and it makes it this weird, like obviously they were really written into a really hard place with what they had to do with Zack. And because they obviously never intended, they didn't know Final Fantasy VII was going to be a huge deal, and they didn't know they were going to have to make an entire game based around this side character. So like they really had a hard time figuring this out, and I think overall they did a good job, but it's still, I think at the end of the day, I'm really glad I played it, because I think that it still has a very resonating story, and I think that it will be really rewarding how they end up tying this together in the next game. But that's just me. Yeah. I may or may not be right about that. We'll see. I maybe have too much faith in the next game. But have either of you guys played this game at all? Do you guys have, or what's your like relationship with Final Fantasy VII in general about it?
You want to start? Yeah. So I have this is like a gaming sin. I just finished like FF7 OG, like the classic one from last year, like in the summer of last year. So it's been a long time since I haven't actually played the game. So I know what happens in the original game. You know, it's like a huge thing. It's like it's basically like a pop culture of what happens in that game. But I did play Crisis Core, the remake. I thought it was good. I mean, I was addicted to the battle system with like there's like a slot machine kind of on the top left or something.
Kind of appropriate, yeah. Right? Getting addicted to a slot machine.
I'm like, I was like very like addicted to that. I'm like, okay, I got the best combo. Like sometimes you get like unlimited MP, and I'll just spam like the spells and everything.
Yeah, that can be satisfying for sure.
Yep, and then the Crisis Core, the remake, I don't know how to feel about it, because I know what you mean, like by it's like a game of its time, because when you talk to like an NPC, it's like very, very robotic, like their animations. But I wanted to add one more thing. I think the voice actor for Zack is good. I hate people who say that they're not playing this game because of the new voice actor. I'm like, it wasn't really that bad, honestly. I don't know what you think about that.
I think he's okay. He didn't blow me away. I assumed they had a new voice actor to try and tie into probably the voice actor they got for the remakes, but to me, he was fine. I can see why some people would probably be upset with his performance, but at the end of the day, he did what he needed to, and he didn't upset me, so I think it's okay.
Yep. Also, one more thing I want to add. I just hate when people recommend this game to start with. I think I saw a few people say you should start like Final Fantasy VII with Crisis Core, and I hate that because it's like there's like a no, because I think you have to play like the original game first before playing this one because there's like a huge plot twist that's I'm like no, don't recommend this to people. Come on, man.
Yeah, if you play this game first, it completely ruins the main, like one of the big twists in Final Fantasy VII. So yeah, I would not recommend that either. It's definitely a game you're supposed to play after playing the original game.
I remember I saw some person online that's like, this was like the first Final Fantasy game. They're like, oh, this one sucked. I was like, I didn't understand anything. I'm like, of course, because this is a prequel. You're not supposed to play it. But yeah, so
that's goofy, man. Yeah, I I loved the remake as well. I think we all three did. I loved the 7 remake from a couple of years back. I'm really excited for the next one. I haven't played Crisis Core. I never do this, but the way that you're both talking about it makes me want to do the whole watch the movie version or read the wiki. Like I'm like, I want to know the story, but I'm like, the gameplay just sounds. I don't know if I'll be in love with it, but what's probably likely to happen, just from how much I love the first one, is that I'll probably just end up playing it eventually. Most likely before the next part. So sometime soon, because I feel like I may need to do that, just judging from the trailers for the next part. It's looking like that's going to come up. But yeah, no, I haven't played it yet. I tried to play like the remake of Final Fantasy Type 0 a while back, and some people were comparing this to that, and they may not be related at all. I haven't played this, so I don't know. But I could not stand Type 0, so I'm like, that kind of scared me away from it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
I would not compare this to Type 0. I played a little bit of Type 0 as well. It's okay. Especially the gameplay. It's fine. I would say more so to tie into your I should watch the movie. In a general sense, I sometimes prefer to play a game even if somebody's like, just watch the cutscenes, it's the same. Because sometimes when you do play a game, even if the story is literally the same as just watching it, the cutscenes, sometimes playing through the game really does give you a different sense of attachment to the world and the characters, and feels like you're more invested. So I sometimes play through the game. Like sometimes games stories are elevated by the fact that they're games, not just the fact that they're movies. So in this case, though, if you look at this game and you say, or if you hear our impressions and say, it doesn't seem like a game for me, I think it is definitely required reading for the next Final Fantasy games. And in all honesty, if you just like Final Fantasy VII's story, it's probably for you. But I would 100% recommend just watching the cutscenes if you don't like if you don't like what you're hearing. Just watch the cutscenes and you'll be fine. I don't think you need to play the game. So.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, I never do that. Like I was saying, I never do that anyways, but I'm just like, it's that balance of like, I feel this is essential for the next upcoming stuff, but I also just, you know what I mean? I feel the way I feel about it. So yeah, no, that's good. That's good. What was the next one on your list though? I'm curious to hear about this.
Yeah, thank you for the segue, sir. So Pony Island is the next game that I wanted to talk about. So to kind of give a little bit of a lead into this, my backlog is honestly scary. It scares me. I don't like looking at it. So like I obviously have a lot of very long games on my backlog, and those things scare me, but I also have a lot of tiny little games that only take a couple of hours or a handful of hours to beat. And sometimes it just genuinely makes me feel better just to scratch one off. So at the Game Awards this year, the pre-show, Pony Island 2 was announced.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense now.
So if you know like Pro ZD, he's like a YouTuber / kind of influencer comedian almost, and he's going to be a major part in the upcoming game. And I have played Inscription. So this Pony Island developer, Daniel Mullins, I believe is his name. Daniel Mullins. He has also made another game called Inscription, which is like a card game. It's like a kind of like almost like Magic, and it was met with a lot of critical and like fan reception when it released, and I played that as well and really enjoyed it. And I'm not even like a huge card game guy, but like I really got into it. It does a lot of really fun, interesting things, playing with the players, like sense of expectations, and using a lot of creative ideas within the game and its design. And Pony Island does a lot of the same things. So funny enough, like before the show started, Alexis, he was saying, you know, like, is this a My Little Pony
Yes.
game? And it does. It obviously, it's supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to sound very, you know, like girly and funny and almost like, of course, this isn't anything interesting, but the less you know about the game, probably the better it is. So that's why I'm not going to sit on this game for too long. But it's about you learn very quickly that you are dead, and the Pony Island is actually a game made by the devil, and you must beat the game in order to save your soul. And the devil obviously like plays tricks on you and tries to manipulate you into losing the game over and over and over again, and you have to find a way around that. And it's just an interesting concept, and I love games like that. And this is a game that you can get on Steam. It's a PC only game, but it's a game that you can get on Steam for straight up $1. So like it's a super easy investment. You can beat it in 3 to 4 hours. It's also very short, so it made me feel good about myself beating a game. But I would recommend it, especially for the price and for the amount of time you can put into it. It's worth it in my opinion. But that's it from me. Cameron.
Yeah,
unless you want to talk about Pony Island.
No, nothing too detailed about Pony Island. I was just going to mention it is on my backlog as well, and we'll have to discuss this another day. But I actually was not a fan of Inscription at all, actually, but I still want to play Pony Island. So yeah, it's kind of sitting there in the backlog, but
totally.
I'll drop that bomb and then transition into what I'm playing. So
we
can stew on that. Yeah, that's always the best way to do it. So
I love it.
Yeah, mine's mine's going to be kind of interesting, I think, because for my sports fans out there, you know, football playoffs actually start today as of this recording. Football playoffs are starting up. I've got my Madden in the rotation. I hadn't played Madden in like 3 or 4 years, but for some reason I'm just feeling the itch to play it right now. So got a little bit of Madden going on. And also we've talked a lot about RE4 in this podcast, which is funny because I didn't actually expect that, but am replaying through RE4 Remake right now, which is Resident Evil 4 Remake right now, which is interesting because I don't typically replay games. I don't know about you guys, but
no, neither do I.
I don't pretty much never do. And this game, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because I like it a lot. I don't know if it's because it's the length is kind of manageable to do that. But I'm just doing another run, my New Game Plus, you know, and having a lot of fun. I mean,
I've heard it's really easy to get stuck in a loop playing that game. Like people like
that's the appeal of Resident Evil. Like you just go for another run.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny too because like I haven't played the Ada DLC for this game yet, and I'm like I felt there's a part of me that was like I need to play the DLC before I replay the game, but I'm like no, I'll replay the game and then swap over to the DLC. So it's kind of funny in that sense, but yeah, I mean a lot of things, you know, I'm sure we were kind of floating around the idea of like a favorite games of 2023 for a future podcast, and I like that idea. I'm sure RE4 will come up there too, so I won't heap too much praise on it here, but I mean, that game is it's phenomenal. Like, you know, production values clearly well made. It's just satisfying gameplay. Pretty much every single change that I have run into with this game compared to the original, I've liked. So, I mean, I think it's just a straight up better version of a already great game. And you can't talk about this remake without in my opinion, without heaping praise upon them for making the escort mission aspect of it way better.
Oh yeah,
because it was It was brutal in the original one, and I think it's done so much better here. But kind of the big meat of what I was trying to talk. That was a weird way of putting that. The big thing I want to talk about of what I'm currently playing, it's kind of a weird series because it doesn't sell very well, especially the older games in the series. They hardly sold well at all. But it's Atelier Aisha, spelt like Aisha, we would say phonetically, but since it is a Japanese game, they say Aisha in the game. But the Atelier series is kind of interesting because not a lot of people know about it, but it releases games yearly. So it's like, it's the way, way, way less sales Call of Duty model, right? Where it's got that yearly release. Absolutely way different game, right? But it's got the yearly release going, that sports game-esque thing. But it's a fun series. I actually got into this series last year with Ryza, which is essentially, long story short, with these games, it's always the word Atelier and then the name of the main character.
Oh, okay. I remember because I remember Ryza. That's like the only one I've known about this. So.
Yeah, and that's probably because Ryza is where the series kind of started blowing up. Ryza 2 sold like almost 2 million copies, I think, which for this series, like they don't even crack
massive.
a million.
Good for them. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it did. So it's fun. So I kind of got through that game last year and was like, oh, okay, I'll check out some of the older games, and so this is game one of a highly recommended. They're always in like trilogies or quadrilogies.
Yeah.
This is game one of the Dusk trilogy, made years ago on PlayStation 3, I believe is what it came out on. But they've sort of remade a lot of these games for PS5, and it's fun. I mean, it's basically the premise of it. It's very like if you're familiar with like slice of life animes, it's sort of like that where very low stakes. For the most part, very low stakes stories, very like chill vibe, broken into sort of like two halves of gameplay. It's got like your traditional RPG, walking around talking to people, doing basically the premise of these games is you're an alchemist, and so you're sort of, going around like creating things, right? You're creating paper out of nothing. You're creating, baskets, just different things. It's very chill, like very everyday life. And that's sort of one half. The other half is the combat. Combat in these games, you can take it or leave it. It's turn-based. It's okay-ish. I mean, there's not like a ton to it, I would say, but it's fine for what it is. And I've had a lot of fun with it. And I think the big thing and the big reason I wanted to talk about this game, just besides the fact that I think people that are looking for a very relaxing, almost like meditative vibe to a game should check these games out and see if they like them. If you can deal with the, quote, anime-ness, which I know some people who can't. Expanding on that is sort of, very generally speaking, very like kind of goofy at sometimes, sort of weird innuendos that you're just kind of like, why did you just say that? So I feel like those kind of just go hand in hand with the anime world sometimes, but
you get desensitized to it.
Oh yeah. Time. Yeah, you absolutely do, in my opinion. You really do. And I mean, it's a very chill game. Like this one in particular, I'm probably about halfway through it. I just bought the whole trilogy. They were on sale, but this it's pretty fun. Story is similar to Ryza, where in the sense it's like I said, it's fairly low stakes, but they try to kind of ramp things up by throwing in some plot hooks there, here and there. And this one, it happens at the very beginning, so I have no problem spoiling this, but the very beginning, like you sort of see like a ghost of it's kind of hard to explain. It's not really a ghost, and this is just kind of anime in general, I think is hard to explain, but you're basically trying to hunt down your sister, right? And that's sort of the overarching narrative that's going on, but there's other stuff happening in that process. So I highly recommend these games. If somebody, like I said, if it's hilarious because I'm saying I'm bouncing from RE4 to a game like this, and I truly like doing that. I like the balance, I like the, getting my head chopped off by some guy in Resident Evil 4 and then going and brewing up potions and walking down the street and giving them to some kid.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of a nice, satisfying balance.
I don't know. That's not balance. That's whiplash, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got everything in moderation, right? Like you gotta have that come down from the RE4 crazy high stakes, I feel. But yeah, I highly recommend these games. I think especially if you're like familiar with a more anime, aesthetic, a more anime feel, and you're just kind of looking for something chill. I think these are really good games to accomplish that. I think I've heard sort of, because this is only my second game in the series, all the trilogies are quite different. They kind of drastically change up the alchemy between them, so there's sort of some variation for those yearly players, but it's good. I mean, it's kind of an interesting, satisfying creation system, if you're familiar with like games where you're sort of crafting, imagine that, except it's ramped up a lot and you can like sort of pass down traits with the crafting. So like imagine Last of Us, but when you crafted a shotgun bullet, it was like, oh, this bullet sets enemies on fire because you put this item into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of cool in that sense. So I like it, but yeah, I wanted to shine some light on that. That series is super, super niche and,
Very niche.
Oh, yeah.
and hopefully getting bigger. I mean, with time. I think it's made by Gust. I think it's a cool little studio because they clearly care a lot about it and have kept them going for years now. So
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to get into the series, but I just remember there's like a lot of they're like separate stories, right? Or unless it's like the same character.
Yep.
Yeah, separate stories.
Yeah, they're separate stories, and even within the trilogies, they're separate stories in some of the trilogies. So it's kind of, I will say this to anybody who's listening, and you, Alexis included, do not get too overthinky with which one you pick, because they have a lot of similarities, and also they're not connected in that sense. So like, I know when I was trying to pick one, I was like Googling 5 different, Reddit posts, like, what the hell game do I play first? Because there's like 20 of these games. Like, just take a step back. It's way lower stakes than that. Like,
it is way lower. Yeah.
Just pick a trilogy and give it a shot. Like, you're pretty much going to be fine. The only recommendation I would make in terms of order of games is like, and this goes without saying, if you're going to pick one where it's the same protagonist, so you see like a number to it, like if you see Ryza 2, Ryza 3, just play them in order. That's really all you have to do. Gotcha. Even the ones where it has a trilogy with different protagonists, people are probably going to get salty at me for this. You could even play those out of order, frankly, because like the most connection you're getting is, oh, maybe the character I played as last game, it shows up in this game. Like, it's not really going to hurt you too bad, but even then, maybe just play those in order if you're, super invested in it. So
yeah, if you really, that's what I've heard too. Is it doesn't really matter. You're good. It's like you said, these games are all pretty low stakes in general, so it's not like you're gonna miss out on some huge revelation within the universe or something because you didn't play the last one. You're gonna be fine. To kind of touch on this, though, I actually have played a handful of several of the Atelier games. They were all on like PlayStation Now, which is like their streaming service, kind of like Game Pass. Yep. And so I just went through and I was like, I've heard of this series. I like anime a lot. I'll pop in and check them out. And I played like an hour of like 4 or 5 of them or something like that. It's not for me. It bored me to tears. I could not stand it. It was I don't like slice of life stuff in general.
Gotcha.
So, like, it's not my kind of story, and then it's just like, well, do you want to do 40 hours of it? And I was like, no, I don't want to do, like, 20 minutes of it. So, like, I'm good. And then, like you said, the combat's, like, take it or leave it. So, there's really just nothing for me there for that series at all. I'm glad I gave it a shot. I'm glad because I really do like shining light on these kind of nicher, especially, like, Japanese titles. There's a lot of them out there.
Oh, yeah.
And Atelier does have like a fan base, like you said, that, kind of sticks with it year to year, but it's very small. So like 2 million was very surprising to me that any of the games got up that high. But not for me. But if you guys like it, I'm not going to yuck your yum. That's awesome.
No, yeah, that's cool. And I will say, like, I'm kind of impressed you said you put some time into multiple of them. Like, I think that's kind of cool you did that. So yeah,
I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter.
Yeah. No, I did actually get introduced to them through PlayStation Now as well. So it's kind of funny you say that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, I've been trying to get into the series. I just remember seeing people talk about it. I think the third one came out for Ryza. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it recently did. I haven't gotten it yet. I will say Ryza is a great jumping on point if you are curious about it because it's the newest series, duh. And then also it's just, I think it gives you a good picture of what the other ones are like.
Got it.
So I would say that's a decent jumping on point if you're curious.
Yeah, I'll check these out later. I mean, I've been having my eye on it for a while now, like Ryza. So I'll check. I'm trying to check if all the games are on the PS5 because I know the third and the second one. I don't know if the first one is. So.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Well, no, it might be on PS4, and I just put the disc in.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe also on PS4. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd have to check on that. I know a lot of the older ones too have like a PS5 version where they basically just like up-resed it. Oh. And frankly, you're not there for the graphics really, anyways. I'm sure Henry can attest. So it's mostly just a nice little up-res.
All right. I mean, we got through our list, and I wanted to add one more thing before we leave. Henry, you were talking about like, what was it? You're talking about like smaller Japanese games. I don't know if you heard of Nihon Falcom.
The name rings a bell. I'd have to look it up though.
Okay, so you said they're like a small team. They're almost like an indie team, but like their games are like very like kind of popular. They made like the East series, YS.
Oh yeah, I know East for sure.
Trails as well. So
yeah, Trails is a big one.
Yeah, okay, that's why it just reminded me of that. It's just like a smaller Japanese company that the graphics are very questionable. They're dated, but you're there for like the gameplay and the story. So that's what reminded me of Atelier. So all right. So I guess that's it for the first episode of Plug and Play. So
nice.
Awesome introduction. This went on for 2 hours and 30 minutes, but awesome discussion from everyone here. Any final words?
Totally.
Yeah. Any final words from Cameron? You want to start?
Stop harassing people that are involved in making games.
Got it. Henry?
Yeah, I just really enjoyed being able to talk with you guys about this stuff. I don't ever get to dive into the nitty gritty. I feel like, like that you just kind of say what you're playing and then leave. I think Cameron and I were talking about that earlier. So it's really awesome to be able to dive into all this stuff with some people who clearly are passionate about it too. So I'm really glad we're being able to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
This is the first time I've talked about Atelier since I don't know anybody who plays that game.
Nice,
it's not a negative, but I've never seen like a lot of people talk about it except for like people online. So that's
beautiful.
That's it for the first episode of Plug and Play. Thank you everybody for listening. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple and your respective podcast platforms. Thank you everybody. Have a great one.
Thanks everyone.
Nice. Thank you.